Paul with a capital P, and sign up. Then you can bet on everything from slap shots to slam dunks to home runs, all on an app that is safe, secure, and easy to use. So get started today. $200 in bonus bets, win or lose, when you place your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com/Paul, Paul, and get started. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. 21 plus and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $10 deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
The best thing about pollen? It's temporary. Just like the Autobell Car Wash Pollen Pass. Enjoy 3 months of unlimited car washes. Get your pass today and save at any Autobell. And when the pollen ends, so does your plan.
People can tell when you Autobell.
This hour on the Triangle Sports Leader is brought to you by the Ritchie Law Firm Injury Lawyers.
Shoot! He scores!
Go to GotBryan.com. That's GotBryan.com.
WCMC-FM HD1 Holly Springs.
You're listening to The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
You know, winning at Wingfoot helped me understand how to win big tournaments, but a lot of patience, especially out here on this golf course when you feel like it's gettable. You see it's right in front of you, but it's just tricky out here. It can be super tricky, and making sure that you play aggressively, but in a safe manner to where it's not going to get you into too much trouble. So for me, as my game has progressed, I've learned to be, I try to be a little bit smarter out there on the golf course and not try and go for broke and just go for every flag, but place it in the right position.
Yes, the sounds of birds and the smell of azaleas for those who are all in on the Masters.
And then the pollen right in your eyeball, or maybe that's just me.
No, that's me too, trust me. Dennis Cox sitting in for Adam Gold. This is the Adam Gold Show. Victoria Vodenecker producing us as always. It is Masters weekend, which means we are obligated to mention golf here at some point. I will be also legally obligated to mention soccer.
Yeah.
This might be fulfilling those contractual duties because this is the Adam Gold Show. I have to do these things. We will actually talk to head coach Rob Brindamore of the Carolina Hurricanes coming up in about 45 minutes, so make sure you do stay tuned into that because the Canes, game 80 of the regular season tonight. Game number 80 on the road in St. Louis. It's an 8 o'clock puck drop here in the old Eastern time zone. But nonetheless, the Masters is taking place, Victoria, and I'm not going to lie, I don't get jazzed up for the Masters like a lot of people do. Granted, I'm also not like the biggest golf nerd in the world. I know Adam loves golf. Our friend Tim Donnelly, who hosts the Drive on 99.9 The Fan here in Raleigh, which is our flagship station for the Adam Gold Show. He's a huge golf guy as well. I know a lot of people that listen love to play golf and stuff. It's just not my cup of tea.
No, and Adam and I have talked about this recently because he's all jazzed about it, and that's great for him. But, you know, for me, that's not really what I stick to. Like, this weekend, for me, it's all about violence.
You have UFC 300 this weekend. Exactly. You have
so
that.
excited.
Me, I'm deep in the college lacrosse season.
Yeah.
Like in the NFL draft and stuff that's coming up. You can only have so much bandwidth. But you know what? That's the beauty about sports.
You know what does make it more interesting, though?
What's that?
I do have maybe a golf bet. And it was a total shot in the dark, too. But it's a golf bet, so it keeps me invested.
I took one as well. Look, I'm not like golf
figuratively.
illiterate when it comes to like
Sure.
who guys are and things like that because working in this industry, you kind of have to be. Me, I picked Jordan Spieth.
Yeah.
He's won the Masters in the past.
Not a bad pick.
We'll see.
Yeah.
To
I know a
be
lot of people
determined.
are going with Scheffler, which
a lot
also
of people are,
not a
which
bad
makes
pick.
sense because he's right there, one back of Bryson DeChambeau and Max Homa right now at 700. Well, you know what? Let's go ahead and get things started. We'll go right into the Masters. Also, by the way, my good friend Chris Lee coming up at 2:30 today. He's going to join me in studio. We're going to do a little Panthers playbook for you, talking a little Carolina Panthers for you. But yes, the Masters is taking place. A lot of people know what's Tiger doing. Tiger's +1 through 6 holes of the second round. Right now, he's in line to make the cut, which for a lot of people is awesome because people want to see the red shirt on Sundays.
I know they were worried about him.
They really want that, which is understandably so. You know what? He's still only 6 holes in. A lot could happen. He could Never know. He could birdie 3 more holes, and he's at -2, and he's all safe and good to go. He could also hit a couple into the water, and then all of a sudden he's like +5.
Yeah.
And then well, there goes the weekend.
Yeah, we're done.
But that's what it is. So for a lot of golfers, because of the weather delays yesterday, a lot of guys, including Tiger Woods, had to finish their first round actually early this morning. So Tiger Woods finished the first round at +1 and was right back on the course because he had to finish 5 holes this morning. And then about 45 minutes later, right back out on the course to play your next 18. I'm not sure if that's an advantage or not for guys. To get a few holes in on the course early, just kind of see how the course is playing early in the morning, kind of get that out of the way. Then you go play your next round. So I'm not entirely sure. I think it's really up to the individual mentally how you handle it, because you can say, well, one, it's a longer day and it's a fast turnaround. But the counter is, again, you've got warmed up and you have a feel for the course before you start your second round. But also, do you also feel like you're trying to catch those leaders? Like when you haven't finished your first round and you are on Friday on the course and you look at the leaderboard and you see Bryson DeChambeau's at 7 under, you're like, I got to make up ground today.
Yeah, extra pressure.
And you start doing that in those, the end of your first round, and you might, shank a shot or something like that, or maybe get too aggressive trying to go for the green or something along those lines, or with your ball placement. A lot of those things, again, I think it's all individually on how guys handle it. But nonetheless, Max Homa right now, who's already into his second round, actually had to finish his first round earlier today. He's 7 under. Bryson DeChambeau is 7 under. A lot of guys Bryson DeChambeau, I think he literally just took the course about 10 minutes ago from where it is right now. So there are guys, again, that finished their first round this morning, and then, like Tiger, 45 minutes later, back onto the course. So it's just a little bit of a weird day, to say the least. But as far as I know, the weather's going to be great over the weekend. Cool. Good.
Paul was filling in yesterday, and I'm sticking to this. If Bryson DeChambeau if this golf thing doesn't work out for him, he should totally make a wine. I feel like his last name is a total wine company. It's
DeChambeau.
The DeChambeau. I don't know. So.
Sounds like a rosé.
I know, right? Pinky's out, everything.
Pinky's out for Victoria. As she sips rosé.
The DeChambeau.
The DeChambeau. That's just no further comment on that. But the Masters is taking place. I know a lot of people get jazzed up for the Masters. That's great. That's fun. That's good for you. I hope you enjoy it. I really do. It's not something I really get into. I pay more attention to it than I do just a normal PGA event because it is a major.
Yeah.
I do pay more attention to it, but all right, people get psyched up. That's okay.
I kind of like the end. I'm growing to where I like the end of it because that's when the suspense really builds. Like, okay, they got to make a hole in one here, or they, got to do whatever.
Or like, you know what? Like someone is on the course and they're one back and then the same pairing. So that really actually impacts exactly what you're doing. When you get those kinds of situations, I'll lock in a little bit more for sure. I'm definitely going to be in on that. But Bryson DeChambeau was set to tee off at 11:54, so I think he's again just getting out of the course. Scotty Scheffler, who's one back at 600, doesn't tee off until 1:48. Is his scheduled tee time? But again, I think some of that may got pushed back because guys finishing their rounds this morning. But if you enjoy the Masters,
it's your time.
Open the windows up, smell the pollen.
Close the windows.
Then close the windows.
Because it's going to get all in your house.
All right, next up. Trust me, I'm fighting the pollen and stuff
it's just
myself.
In my eyes and everything.
So this news broke about an hour ago, I'd say. Jared McCain, shooting guard for Duke, announced that he's going pro. He announced it on his social media. So people were like, sources, source him. Is Jared McCain himself. This is of no shock to me that Jared McCain going to the NBA. Projected by many of the quote-unquote experts, the draft guys for the NBA, to be drafted in the first round. Some people have him going in the 20s. Some people maybe have him going like 18 or 19, just kind of depending on how the draft board falls out. And then there's obviously like the NBA is so weird with like, oh, well, this pick's this protected and, we could do pick swaps and all that kind of stuff. But nonetheless, he's projected to be a first-round draft pick pretty solidly with that. Go for it. Your first-round pick coming after your freshman year of college, go for it. It's guaranteed money right there. Now, I'm sure if he came back to Duke with name, image, and likeness, the guy would make a bucket of money.
Yeah.
Or buckets of money. That's a guaranteed contract in the NBA, and that's future long-term money that you can get. So you know what? I don't blame the guy for going. My guess, in the next few days, maybe even today possibly, we'll hear Kyle Filipowski announce his intentions on going to the NBA draft. I'm sure we'll hear that in the near future. That's just my anticipation. I don't have any inside information on that, but
just an instinct.
Well, the guy's been projected to be a lottery pick, somewhere in like 10 to 13, 14 range in the NBA draft like the last 2 years. Kind of hard to turn down that money again.
Yeah, would be.
Kind of hard to turn down that money again. So I anticipate Kyle Filipowski. We'll hear that announcement sometime in the very near future. But one person of note when it comes to Duke basketball that's coming back, it's Tyrese Proctor. He's going to be a junior next season, also a guard. This is massive for John Shire and Duke program, in my opinion, because there is a case where Shire could lose his whole starting five.
Mm-hmm.
The whole thing. We've heard Mark Mitchell's going into the transfer portal, Jared McCain going into the NBA. Jeremy Roach even flirted with the possibility of going to the NBA after last season. Now, he still has a year of eligibility left. What does he decide to do with that fifth year? Does he go pro? Does he come back to Duke? Does he go to the transfer portal? The young man has a lot of different options. If he stays at Duke, he could make a lot of money with name, image, and likeness. That's always something that could potentially keep him around. He can go to another program if he wants to, and I'm sure he can make a lot of money doing that as well. I don't know what his NBA prospects are just because he's played 4 years of college, and generally the NBA doesn't like, quote-unquote, older guys. It's a weird thing, but it is what it is. But also, if Tyrese Proctor had decided to go pro or transfer, there's a lot of possibility of him actually going to the NBA after last season because a lot of people projected him to be a first-round pick. Had a bit of a down season, dealt with the ankle sprain and injury and such. So some up-and-down play for Tyrese Proctor this year. But you're looking at a possibility of your starting five gone.
I know.
For Duke.
Starting from scratch.
Yeah.
What
with
a
lot
rebuild.
of young guys coming in. But if Roach returns, again, no inside information, just going off my instinct. Jeremy Roach returns. You already know that Tyrese Proctor announced that he's coming back to Duke. And assuming Caleb Foster also returns, who just finished his freshman year, had a stress fracture in his ankle, missed the last several games of the season, including the NCAA tournament. Assuming those three guys, all guys in the backcourt, all return, that's a lot of experience that's much needed for a team that has a big-time recruiting class coming in where they can shepherd in the youth, right? Because you still have guys that were just finished their freshman year that didn't get a lot of playing time. I'm talking guys like Sean Stewart, TJ Power. These guys were 5-star recruits, and you're bringing in the number one recruiting class in the country. You got to have some experience on the floor with them. And if you could have two guys in your backcourt with Roach and Proctor who are going to be 3+ years in your program, 3+ years of competitive college basketball experience, not just 3 years of just getting 5-6 minutes a game, like actual starter minutes that played in the NCAA tournament, that have played in big games. Jeremy Roach played in the NCAA Final Four just a couple years ago.
Yeah.
The team that had Paolo Banchero and some of those guys. That experience is going to matter because my biggest thing for Duke this past season was they were just younger than everyone else. It's not like they weren't talented, but North Carolina had an older team. NC State had an older team. Yeah. Duke had a lot of freshmen and sophomores this past season. They're super young.
Yeah, continuity and, experience is definitely valuable.
It's experience, but it's also experience within the program. The way John Shire is building his team, we're going to get more into this at about 1:15 today. But one thing that John Shire is doing, the way that he is building his team, he's building it through recruiting and building from within. He's not like what NC State has done, which is transfer portal U, which is the complete opposite, basically. And also you look at what North Carolina has done, which is basically like a blend of the two, where you have your homegrown talent, you're supplementing through the transfer portal. The way John Shire is doing it, it's all growing from within. He's doing the quote-unquote, it's weird to say the old school way, the way teams used to do it, 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way he's building his team. But to have Proctor come back is massive. If Roach comes back too, now you have an experienced backcourt to go with all those wing players that they're bringing in, including Cooper Flagg, who's the number one recruit in the country and already projected to be the number one pick in next year's draft in 2025. But you got to have some level of experience to teach these guys not only what to do on the court in college basketball, but also just, again, the culture of your team. where to go and practice. Hey, this is the drill we're doing, young man. Go over here.
Mm-hmm.
Those kinds of things absolutely matter. All right, next up. As I mentioned a little bit ago, the Carolina Hurricanes are in action tonight. In about a half hour, we're going to talk to head coach Rob Brindamore. Game 80 for the Carolina Hurricanes. They're on the road at St. Louis, taking on the Blues. Then this Sunday, they're at Chicago. Then on Tuesday next week, they're at Columbus to close out the regular season. So this is part of a 4-game stretch on the road for the Canes to close out the year before they come back home to PNC Arena for round 1 of the NHL playoffs.
Yes.
Who they're playing? To be determined.
Yep.
Where they're going to be seated, also to be determined. There's still a lot to be gained for the Carolina Hurricanes in terms of these last few games of the regular season. Look at the standings. The New York Rangers lost yesterday to the New York Islanders. Islanders needed that win desperately because they're trying to make the playoffs.
Scrap it.
Rangers they've been locked in. But the New York Rangers have the top spot in the Metropolitan Division. By the Rangers losing yesterday, a win by Carolina today, by any means necessary, whether it's win in regulation, you win in overtime, shootout, whatever it is, you get 2 points. You're now within 1 point of the New York Rangers for the top spot in the Metropolitan Division.
It's big.
It's massive because if you win in the first round of the playoffs and so do the New York Rangers, guess who you play in the second round of the playoffs? The New York Rangers. I'd much rather have home ice advantage.
Same.
Now, granted, it's also been proven in the NHL that home ice advantage means
Doesn't matter.
diddly squat.
Yeah, it's just nice. We like to cheer our
But we
Canes
like
on.
to have that. You know, we
Yeah.
want to. If there is a Game 7, you want to have it at home.
Yes.
Just don't get to a Game 7.
Right.
Win
please
it
don't.
win it in 6. Just keep it
I know,
close.
and don't do this triple overtime thing again. Like
It was 4 overtimes.
yeah,
That was different.
Until like 2:00 in the morning. Wolf. Oh man.
Later than that.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, Carolina can get within 1 point of the New York Rangers tonight with a win. But also, they keep pace ahead of the Boston Bruins for the second best record in the Eastern Conference. Why does that matter? Well, if the Boston Bruins get to the Eastern Conference Finals, as do the Carolina Hurricanes, by having more points in the standings than them, you get home ice advantage in the Eastern Conference Finals, even though you might not have it in the second round, depending on where the New York Rangers finish. So, yes, there are things at stake in these games coming up.
Perks.
So there's still much for the Canes as a team to gain, but there are still a lot of things for the Canes as a team to figure out. But again, both individually and as a team. As a team, they still got to figure out who's playing with who. We already know that Andrei Svechnikov has been hot lately, and I think they're going to settle in on Jordan Stahl and Jordan Martinook and Andrei Svechnikov as a line. We know that Sebastian Aho, Jake Gensel, and Seth Jarvis, that's the top line.
Yeah.
Nonetheless,
done.
right now. Don't mess up
Don't
something
touch
that's
it.
great.
Don't even sneeze
don't
at it.
Touch it. But it's everyone else. You're still trying to figure out, all right, who's Evgeny Kuznetsov? Who's going to play alongside him? That's going to dictate a lot of different things because as of right now, Svechnikov, let's look at Svech individually right now. The past 2 games, he's looked like the Andrei Svechnikov that the Carolina Hurricanes need. A consistent scoring threat that's physical, wins battles along the boards, and most importantly, staying out of the penalty box.
Yes.
Most importantly, staying out of the penalty box. Now, Rob Brindamore talked about how Svech and his injuries that he's had and just the bounce back that he's had. Here's head coach Rob Brindamore on how impressive Svech has been since returning from those injuries.
We all know the type of players because we get to watch them every night, and so there's a high standard, right? You expect that every night. Not those goals, but the impact, and because that's the kind of player he is, and we all know that he's capable of. So it's good to see the last couple of games, certainly.
It's been awesome to see because, again, that's the Andrei Svechnikov that this Carolina Hurricanes team needs to have. Now, another player that my mind is on for the Canes, Evgeny Kuznetsov. He'll be playing in his 18th game with the Canes tonight. The first 3 games with Carolina, now granted he didn't play for a stretch of several days for various off-ice reasons, but the first 3 games with Carolina didn't produce any points. To be expected. You're figuring things out, new team, new environment. Totally get it. Then he has a 4-game point streak where he scores 2 goals and has 3 assists during that 4-game point streak. In the 10 games since, 0 goals, 2 assists, -2 while averaging just over 14.5 minutes of ice time per game. If Kuznetsov is going to be this team's number 2 center, and skate on the power play. He needs to be a consistent threat on the ice. Now, he doesn't have to be 5 points every 4 games, unless you're going to do it. But he needs to guide a line where he's creating chances for Martin Necas, Teuvo Teravainen, which is who he's been skating with. Because when Carolina has scoring threats throughout the lineup, that's when they're most dangerous. We saw it against Boston the other day. We saw Gensel and Jarvis both score. Now, Jarvis's goal came on shorthanded situation. But nonetheless, that line scored at even strength. We saw Svechnikov score. That line scored at even strength. Then we also saw Teuvo Teravainen score. If they can have consistent scoring throughout the lineup, that's when Carolina is most dangerous. It can't all fall on the top line of just Aho, Gensel, and Jarvis to be the goal scorers, and then hopefully that you get enough power play opportunities where you can go 1 for 4.
Yeah,
it has to be, and it has to be throughout the lineup. And Kuznetsov was brought in to be that. You're brought in to be the number 2 center. You have to be a consistent threat offensively, because right now, this has been his knack throughout his entire career. Defensively, isn't great. If you're not producing offensively, then you start to become a defensive liability. That's when things can get tough for Carolina come the playoffs. All right, final thing. 2 weeks to the NFL draft.
What? That's crazy.
Now, 2 weeks for the Carolina Panthers NFL draft. 13 days for everyone else, or most everyone else, I should say. Because Carolina doesn't draft until this day 2 of the draft, the second round. They have the 33rd pick, which I'm sure a lot of you have already heard. They also have the 39th pick. They also have a 3rd round pick as well. Okay, a lot of people have heard that. That's totally fine. But Dan Morgan still has some things he has to figure out. He and Dave Canales in terms of what they've done. Now, overall, this offseason, I will say this. I've liked it so far.
Yeah.
Overall, I'll probably, if I had to give it a grade, I'd give it a solid B. Maybe even push to a B+. I love the offensive line signings. The Deontay Johnson trade was awesome.
Yes, that was a good one.
The long-term deal for Derek Brown, great.
Good
you
with
locked
that.
it up. Totally good with that as well. But there's still a lot of holes to be filled, upgrades, and needs. Now, Dan Morgan and Dave Canales, you're not going to fix everything in one offseason after a 2-15 year when there's a lot of needs. You're not going to fix it all in one offseason. I have to remind myself of that. And for you, if you're a Panthers fan, I got to remind you of that too.
Yes.
It ain't all going to get fixed right away.
No.
It's just not.
But I think we've said this many times. If we just see progression. That's it.
Progression. But there are still 2 positions that I think are on the high need of player upgrade. One on each side of the ball. Offensively, I'll start there first. Now, I still think that they need another wide receiver. You might even see him draft a running back. Obviously, the offensive line upgrades. I still think they might need a center to develop. But nonetheless, tight end, anybody? Hello?
Yes.
Hayden Hurst did not work out last season.
No. That's
Right now, you're rolling with Tommy Tremble and Ian Thomas.
Yeah.
Now, Tommy Tremble, I think, is okay. I think he's a good number 2 tight end. He's still young. I think he's just 23 years old, about to turn 24. Still pretty young.
Room to grow.
Ian Thomas, not much more than a blocker and a special teams guy. That's really about it. And I've seen a lot of Panthers fans are very high on Jatavian Sanders, the tight end out of Texas, who's like freak athlete, caught 54 passes in 2022 for Texas. Now, once you have Brock Bowers, who's like the number 1 wide receiver, or not wide receiver, tight end, might as well be a wide receiver, but the number 1 tight end in this draft, there's like a steep decline. Basically, you might be able to get a guy like Sanders in the 3rd round, even the 4th, which, okay, great. You still need massive upgrades at that position because if you look at all the top offenses, or most of the top offenses in the NFL, have a difference maker at tight end.
Yes.
You have a difference maker at that position. Just look at the teams that have played in the Super Bowl in the last several years. I was talking with our good friend Tim Donnelly about this. He's like, yeah, you've seen a lot of George Kittles. You've seen a lot of Travis Kelce's. You've seen Zach Ertz in his prime. You've seen Dallas Goedert, like when they're healthy. Like,
yeah, and when
difference
Carolina,
makers.
when the Panthers were at our prime,
yeah,
we had Greg Olsen.
Yeah.
So
even when Cam Newton came in, he had Greg Olsen and Jeremy Shockey. Like, it's a difference maker, someone that can control the middle of the field.
Yeah.
They need that. On the defensive side position group, that's still glaring to me. Now, I know they signed Dane Jackson from Buffalo, but to me, it's corner. I still think they needed that anyway because J.C. Horn is so freaking good. but
when
he can't
healthy.
stay on the field.
Yeah, when
but he
he's
can't
healthy.
stay on the field.
Yeah.
Dane Jackson, who's going to be filling in for Dante Jackson, who got traded as part of the Deontay Johnson trade. Keep up with me here. But Dane Jackson might be a good spot starter to fill in, but you can't trust J.C. Horn staying healthy.
No.
Dane Jackson is like an average stopgap corner. You still need position. You still need to fill and upgrade that position in my mind.
Oh, yeah.
Whether it's a young guy that you're developing or a guy that maybe you can step in and play right away, or at least is capable of doing it if J.C. Horn is not healthy and ready to go.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers exposed that like 2 years ago. So.
Oh, yeah. C.J. Henderson obviously is not the guy.
Yeah.
But I like that they re-signed Troy Hill. I actually thought he did pretty good as a nickel corner last season, especially late in the season. Really like what Troy Hill did. But to me, those are the big positions that are still needed to be addressed. And again, you might not be able to address it this offseason. Simple as that.
It's okay. Just
because
chip away.
Chip away.
Mm-hmm.
Chip away. Address one thing, then move on to the next. I still think there's a long-term need for edge rusher. Like Jadeveon Clowney and DJ Wanham. Like those guys, I'm like, you know what? If they were opposite of Brian Burns, I'd be like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have the Brian Burns.
We don't.
We don't.
That's the problem.
But again, overall this offseason, I give it a B+ right now for the Carolina Panthers. It's been good. Still a lot of things to fill, and the draft is going to be vital because Dan Morgan's been part of the drafts over the last few years for the Carolina Panthers. He has been. You just look back to 2022. There were only 3 guys on the roster just last season from the 2022 draft class. It was Ike Ekwonu at left tackle, Cade Mays as an interior offensive lineman who was not effective last year, and Amari Barno, who's awesome at special teams, who they drafted in the 6th round. That was it from your 2022 draft class.
Yeah.
You got to hit. You got to hit on this year's draft class. Otherwise, you're going to just have more of the same. That's Victoria Vodenecker, Dennis Cox sitting in for Adam Gold this afternoon. If you missed any of the show, check it out on the Best of the Adam Gold Show podcast, wherever podcasts are found. But also check out 99.9 The Fan's YouTube page because you can actually watch clips. You can actually watch the show. If you're going to work and you're going to your desk, you can watch this show live. It's streamed on 99.9 The Fan's YouTube page. Also, when you're there, make sure you subscribe. We have a video that's posted on The Fan's YouTube page. We reached over 10,000 followers. Big thanks to you if you've done so already.
Yes,
if you haven't,
thank you.
Let's get on that. But we're giving things away.
Cool things. Cool things.
A lot of cool stuff. But you got to watch the video that's posted. It's only like a minute and 24 seconds. Victoria's in it. I'm in it.
Adam's in it.
Adam is in it as well. Tim is in it. But nonetheless, it's a thank you from us to you. So please make sure you subscribe and do that. All right. Coming up in about 20 minutes, we'll hear from head coach Rob Brindamore of the Carolina Hurricanes. Because of that, Victoria is going to set them up. I'm going to hit some clappers. We got some one-timers.
Going beyond the box scores. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Listen to 99.9 The Fan every afternoon during the drive for your chance to see the Storm Surge in person. It's our 10K playoff payout. Try your luck at playoff tickets by discovering the Golden Puck. And like last year, take your ultimate shot at $10,000. Let's go! Listen for the 10K playoff payout, driven by your Carolina Ford dealer. For great offers on a new Ford truck or SUV, see your Carolina Ford dealer today.
Hey, it's Adam Gold from my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. And even though the college basketball season is over and your brackets were burned on both the men's and women's side, we've got the NBA playoffs starting up, the NHL playoffs coming up as well. By the way, in the NBA, did you know that the Lakers and Warriors are going to meet in a 10-9 game? Are you joking? What is that? Oh, let's have some fun. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you make your first $5 wager. Go to FanDuel.com, promo code ADAMGOLD to sign up. $200 in bonus bets, win or lose, when you make your first $5 wager. FanDuel.com, promo code ADAMGOLD. FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Must be 21 and older and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $10 deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
What are you doing?
I'm training for the new Ultimate Dash Scratch-Offs. I could get a chance to dash through A warehouse full of prizes.
That explains the shopping cart.
Plus, I could win up to $2 million in cash.
And that explains the tuxedo.
I'm chafing.
Feel the rush with new Ultimate Dash scratch-offs from the North Carolina Education Lottery. Must be 18 to play. Approximate overall odds of winning are 1 in 3.78. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
Did you know one of the best investments you can make? It's in yourself. At My Computer Career, in just a few months, you could start your new career in the high-demand, recession-resistant field of information technology. Isn't it time you invest in you and start a career in networking, cybersecurity, AI, or upskill to boost your current IT career? So, get the ROI you deserve at My Computer Career. No experience necessary. Start now at mycomputercareer.edu.
Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GI Bill.
Hi, it's Jonathan Cotton with the Good Feet Store, and springtime can bring a new season of change and growth. There are so many things to look forward to, whether it's walking your dog, taking a stroll through the park with a loved one, or tackling a new do-it-yourself project. It can be just energizing to get outside. We are once again looking forward to summer camps, family reunions, and planning vacations. Getting back into activities such as these can be difficult, though, if you suffer from pain in your feet, knees, hips, or lower back. Good Feet Arch Supports can be the solution you need to get the most out of your springtime activities. As we head into this season of possibilities, don't let foot pain hold you back. Make this spring the start of a new season in your life at the Good Feet Store. Come in today for your free fitting and test walk. The Good Feet Store is in Raleigh, Chapel Hill, Fayetteville, and other locations across North Carolina. Visit goodfeet.com to book your appointment today, or just stop by. I'm Jonathan Cotton, and we look forward to seeing you at the Good Feet Store.
Without the ones like you, who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you with professional-grade industrial supplies. Count on real-time product availability and fast delivery. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This is Adam Gold.
There are people out there that just, you must draft a quarterback.
Yeah, why you don't want a quarterback?
Yeah, exactly. What is wrong with you? Oh, you don't want apple pie?
Right.
Come on.
A la mode?
No.
Oh, maybe I like brownies, okay?
I don't want it there.
The temptation.
Yeah, I don't need it. Because I can convince myself, apple's healthy.
Right.
The Adam Gold Show.
Yeah, apples are healthy, but brownies are delicious.
I love a brownie.
Right?
I love them.
No, brownies.
I know.
Dennis,
this didn't talk about it, but I also threw out fiber. So
see, there it is.
There's just more perks.
We need that in our lives. Yeah. Dennis Cox sitting in for Adam Gold. That's Victoria. She's producing the show as always. Switching things up here a little bit, we're going to have Rob Brindamore, the head coach of the Carolina Hurricanes, joining us here in about 15 minutes. So normally at that time is when Victoria, slides over some passes for some one-timers, but we're going to shift that over to right now. Victoria, let's tee it up.
All right. Change of pace, just in case anyone hasn't heard this yet. So, I know one of the things that we've talked about when we got things started was Duke.
Yes.
And that they have a potential to basically be rebuilding if their seniors and, some others decide that they want to go pro and leave. So, if that's the case, Duke has to start fresh. How long do you think it would take John Shire and company to get them back into a competitive place like the NCAA tournament?
1 second.
Yeah.
I mean, you're bringing in the number one recruiting class, and I think the class that they just brought in, the guys that just finished their freshman year, was, I think, the number 2 recruiting class. I mean, you're bringing in talent. Now, the big shock to me was Mark Mitchell going into the transfer portal. That was a massive surprise to me. If there's a concern, we're actually going to dive into this more at 1:15, but there's something that's maybe of big concern this upcoming season is the inexperience you're going to have in the front court, because Mark Mitchell is entering the transfer portal. He was a 2-year starter for you. Ryan Young, coming off the bench, was like your rotation big guy. He's going to be gone because he's out of eligibility. And I'm assuming Kyle Filipowski is going to be going to the NBA. He's projected to be a top 15 pick in the NBA. That's 3 guys you got to replace down low. Now you do have Sean Stewart coming back, who we saw have some big games or some big moments, especially the game at PNC Arena against NC State near the end of the regular season where he had 20-plus points. What's his development in terms of next year? He's probably going to be asked to do a bigger role. Christian Reeves, who was with the team the last couple of years, backed up Derek Lively a few years ago, has also been hurt the last couple of years. He's entering the transfer portal for Duke. So there's not a lot of experience down low in terms of the front court for Duke. But the talent that they're bringing in, especially knowing that Tyrese Proctor's coming back and assuming that Jeremy Roach comes back as well as Caleb Foster, Jared McCain's going to the NBA as he announced today, it'll take about a second. It'll take about 1 second.
Yeah. Okay, next up. So, sticking with the basketball theme, Kentucky may have their coach. What? Mark Pope. So, he should be today, I think, actually, signing a 5-year deal worth $500.5 million per season.
Wait, $500.5 million a season?
Yep, 5-year deal.
Worth how much a year?
5.5 mil.
Oh, I thought you said 500.5.
Oh, did I say 500?
I'm like, what?
I'm adding extra. Sorry.
I knew Kentucky had money, but damn.
I didn't realize it.
But
yes,
damn.
5.5 mil. Yeah.
I'm
so
like, if I were
all
him,
of
be
it's
like,
still
hey,
more
you know
money.
What? Just take $100 million of that, and like, can you just throw that to one of the collectives, and I
Right.
could buy a national
I'll just do all of it. Yeah.
Good
So
Lord. Okay, you threw me for a second.
I know. So
Wait
no,
a second.
5.5 million per year.
Okay. I
Also,
can
still
breathe
way
a
more
little
money
bit.
than I'll ever see, I'm sure.
likewise.
But now, is that going to be too much for Mark Pope, or was it necessary for Kentucky to throw that kind of bag at somebody because it seemed like a struggle to get a coach to come and stay?
It's interesting. Now, granted, he actually did transfer to Kentucky and was actually part of the 96 NCAA championship team for Kentucky, was
Yeah.
Pope. So he's been there, so he's a quote-unquote Kentucky guy. Here's something I will say. A lot of people don't realize that even though they might be a blue blood position, are you really that sought after as in terms of a job? Like, is that something that's really desirable and wanted? Because Kentucky's got the money to pay anybody. But we heard multiple people either A, turn down the job, or B, say, nope, not leaving, not interested.
Nope.
So, yeah, this is probably like their 5th option, 6th option that they could have gone for. Now, again, Mark Pope did finish his collegiate basketball playing career at Kentucky. So, again, there's a familiarity there. Maybe it's like, hey, I'm coming home, guys, to fix things up. But people don't realize that not just because you have something that's quote unquote valuable doesn't mean everyone wants it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
It does. All right, well, moving on to some hockey. Our Carolina Hurricanes are taking on the St. Louis Blues tonight. Let's go, Canes. So, when it comes to these last few games that's left in the regular season, I know you touched on this earlier, but just in a nutshell, what is their motivating factor to win these games?
Well, you want to be playing right going into the playoffs. Like, you don't want to be like half-assing it going into the playoffs.
You do not.
You don't want to be. But as I said, there are still things for this team to play for. Like, you can still push to get to the top of the Eastern Conference and the top of the Metropolitan Division. That's still within reach. But also, there are still things for this team to figure out. What's Rob Brind'Amour going to do in terms of line combinations? Because I think what he wants to do over these last 3 games is, I want to have the lineup set of what it's going to be like when the playoffs start, so these guys know going in who they're playing with, who they're playing alongside, and developing that chemistry. From power play units to line combinations. The only thing that's really, truly set, in my mind, that's truly set right now, that top line with Aho, Gensel, and Jarvis.
Solid.
Beyond solid.
Yeah.
And then you know who your 6 defensemen are, and you know the pairings. And my guess is going to be Frederick Anderson's going to be your number 1 goalie. Outside of that, there's still some fluidity with this team in terms of who plays with who. So there's still some things to figure out for this team for sure. But, you want to be playing right going into the playoffs.
Well, and that actually leads to my next one. So when it comes to who's in net, this is more of a playoff question. Should it be the guy who deserves it, the guy who's on a heater currently, or the guy who maybe has competed against whichever team we will see who that is in the first round of the playoffs, or another factor?
Whoever gives you the best, the cop-out answer is whoever gives you the best chance to win. As simple as that. who's on the heater right now. It's Freddie Anderson's the one that's on the heater. In the 9 games since he's come back from the blood clotting issue, the 9 games, 8-1, a save percentage of over 94% since returning in early March, and 3 shutouts. Like, yeah, I'm going that guy right now. But here's the thing. If it's Kochetkov, I got no problem with that either.
No.
But with the way Freddie Anderson's playing right now, I mean, Freddie was brought in to be the number 1 guy. Simple as that. And we actually saw him play in the playoffs last year after coming back from injury. He was stellar in that series against Florida. Like, he was awesome in that series. He was good in the playoffs. Remember, Carolina Hurricanes started with Antti Raanta in the playoffs last year because Freddie was still working back from injury. It was Raanta then Kochetkov. And they did just fine against the New Jersey Devils.
Yeah.
Raanta was solid. They did great against the New Jersey Devils. I mean, the way this team plays, it really doesn't matter who's there.
Yeah.
But honestly, the heater and your number 1 guy right now, it's Freddie.
Yeah. Well, and this may be the last one depending on time, but the Canes have some new additions to their team. So could you see them flirting with the idea to maybe throw the new guys out there before the playoffs in these next few games just to see how they mesh with the team?
So these young guys that you're mentioning, Scott Morrow, defenseman out of UMass, signed his entry-level contract. Bradley Nadeau, their first-round pick from just this past year, signed his entry-level contract after 1 year at the University of Maine. Jackson Blake played 2 years at North Dakota, is a finalist for the Hobie Baker Award, which is the equivalent of the Heisman Trophy of college hockey, like the player of the year. He's one of 3 guys. He's that good. So these guys, all 3 of these young men signed their what's known as an entry-level contract. So they're skating with the team. They're practicing with the team. If they go into the game on Tuesday against Columbus, where everything's locked up, you can't move up in the standings, you're not going to move down, there's nothing at stake in that game. You want to give a guys a rest? Some guys have some bumps and bruises. I could see that. I could see it potentially happening. I don't know how it all works in terms of roster limits and stuff like that with the NHL and what we're allowed to do, but they're going to be around the team in the playoffs. It would not surprise me if you get Scott Morrow in a game.
Oh, yeah.
But honestly, I think these guys are just, hey, be around the team, get yourself immersed in the culture, get yourself just into the strength program with, what the Canes are doing and those kinds of things, and just absorb all of it.
Yeah.
That's really about it.
I could see that.
I don't see it, but again, you want to be playing right as a team going into the playoffs. After the game Tuesday, I think it's going to be like a 5-day break before they actually play.
Yeah.
So you don't want to be rusty, if that makes sense, going into the playoffs.
You don't.
But I'm excited about the young crop of talent that the Canes will have coming up.
Me too.
Those are one-timers. That's Victoria. Dennis Cox sitting in for Adam Gold this afternoon here on the Adam Gold Show. Speaking of those young guys, speaking of those prospects, I'm going to ask Rob Brindamore coming up here in about 4 minutes. What are those guys brought to the locker room? We'll have that coming up.
Serving it up hot and fresh every day. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Are you taking care of someone on Medicare? Navigating Medicare can be overwhelming. You're not alone. The NC Department of Insurance SHIP program can help you figure out what steps to take and when. SHIP counselors can answer your questions. Visit ncshiip.com or call toll-free at 855-408-1212. SHIP provides free, unbiased help in all 100 counties.
Project supported by grants from the Administration for Community Living. Contents do not necessarily represent official views of, nor an endorsement by ACL, HHS, or the U.S. government.
Everyone goes through tough times, and everyone can get through them, as long as they don't have to do it alone. Dial 988 if you need someone to talk to. Get what you need to get to a better place. Together, we'll find the care that works best for you. We're here 24/7. Call, text, or chat 988. 988. Let's get through it together. Brought to you by the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services.
The Body Armor State Games are coming to Charlotte this June. Registration is open to athletes of all ages and skill levels in 25 different sports. The Body Armor State Games features 13,000 athletes and 700 teams. Don't miss out on North Carolina's largest sports festival of the year. Visit bodyarmorstategames.org today. The The Body Armor State Games are proud to partner with Truist, Harris Teeter, and Blue Cross and Blue Shield of North Carolina.
Trust ACT Construction Equipment and Bandit Wood Chippers and Stump Grinders to position your tree service for success. ACT Construction Equipment is your authorized dealer for sales, service, parts, and rentals for Bandit Wood Chippers and Stump Grinders. ACT Construction Equipment has been your authorized dealer for Bandit equipment for over 10 years. Visit one of our 6 North and South Carolina locations or actce.com for more details on Bandit Wood Chippers and Stump Grinders. ACT Construction Equipment, always the right equipment for the job.
It's the first day of the first grade, and she found a new best friend. It's a laid-back Sunday afternoon you wish would never end.
The homemade taste of Bluebell and good friends gathered round. The good old days are being made right now.
St. Louis brought the world gooey butter cake. Now Bluebell brings us gooey butter cake ice cream. A cake batter ice cream with a luscious cream cheese swirl and gooey butter cake pieces. It's the gateway to the best in pints and half gallons.
The good old days are being made right now.
The good old days are being made right now.
Look for Bluebell ice cream at your local grocer and pick up your favorite flavor today.
Fair housing is more than just a celebration in April. For North Carolina's realtors, it's an everyday standard. For the 56,000 realtors across our state, we embrace and support fair housing to stamp out discrimination in all forms. As realtors, we believe fairness is worth fighting for, and we won't stop until the fight is won. Celebrating Fair Housing Month, North Carolina Realtors. We open doors to everyone. Paid for by North Carolina Realtors.
Are you looking for a 2-year hands-on agricultural degree while still gaining the university experience? I'm Lee Ivey, Director of the Agricultural Institute at NC State University. We offer 6 associate's degrees that span the agricultural industry and set our students up to meet their goals. Come live on campus, learn on our farms, and be a part of the NC State community. Learn more about our program online by searching NC State Ag Institute. Deadline for fall enrollment is June 1st. 2 years, 1 degree, endless possibilities.
This is Adam Gold.
I would like to go to the supermarket with the Bears front office.
Exactly.
Right? Oh, no. Do I want like fruits and vegetables, or do I want this box of Devil Dogs? Devil Dogs, by the way, the greatest snack cake known to mankind. Unfortunately, you need a lot of milk. Otherwise, you're out of luck.
The Adam Gold Show.
Game number 80 for the Carolina Hurricanes today. Game 80 of the regular season. 80 of 82. It's amazing that we're already here at the end of it, but yet the playoffs still feel so far away. Dennis Cox sitting in for Adam Gold. Victoria producing the show as always, and joining us now here on the Adam Gold Show is the head coach of the Carolina Hurricanes, Rod Brindamore. All right, Rod, I'm not going to lie. I'm itching for the playoffs to go ahead and get started, especially the way you guys played on Tuesday against Boston. Are you guys feeling the same way? Like, hey, let's just get this thing going.
Yeah. Well, I think all the players know that that's the, exciting time of the year to, get to. But they also know we got to finish the year out right. And that's the task here at hand.
All right, finishing the year out right, what does that look like in your mind? What does that mean for you guys, finishing the year out right?
Yeah, well, just playing it the right way. And, obviously we want to win every game, but just making sure we're good habits and things that'll, carry over into next week when we play in the playoffs. So that's the main goal of it. And, we had a good game the other night. That's the kind of effort and the habits that we made moving forward.
Dennis Cox sitting in for Adam Gold, Rod Brindamore joining us here. How vital is it for you all? We saw goals scored from the Aho line, Gensel, then Jarvis with the shorthanded goal, Svechnikov scoring as well with using the lacrosse goal. Also Taylor Vinen scoring as well. How vital is it for you to have multiple lines going and being a threat offensively for you all?
Yeah, that's how we're built, right? So we're not heavily relying on one guy or even a couple guys. We need to the sum of parts, some of all the parts to be good, and the 20 guys when they're out there contributing in some form or fashion. If we're going to be the team we want to be, which I think everyone's understanding of their roles, that's what we're going to need.
All right, Rod, one of the new guys that was brought in, obviously we know what Jake Gensel has been doing. But Evgeny Kuznetsov being centering a line, what we've seen recently alongside Teuvo Teravainen and alongside Martin Necas. Adjustments are different for every single player when after a trade, especially going into, again, new team, new system, new guys that you're playing around. How is Kuznetsov, even though we might not see the points over the last 10 games, what other ways is he impacting the game for you all, even if it's just maybe being a threat on the ice, knowing what he's done in the past in his career?
Yeah, no, I mean, he knows how to win, obviously. And, I think you're right. I mean, we're still kind of trying to figure out the best fit and maybe how he kind of integrates into the group. We know he's got a lot of skill, a lot of talent. So there's certain areas, you see him in the special teams areas. And when there's open ice, he's certainly definitely a threat there. So it's really, these last 3 games will really for the whole lineup, but just might be see different lineups, different, lines and things, just trying to make sure we kind of exhaust everything. And when we hit the playoffs, we got the best group going out there.
It seems like since Kuznetsov has been added to the team, Dmitry Orlov has been playing great over the last several months as is anyway, but it seems like Dmitry is almost unlocked another level on the back end, whether it's obviously being stout defensively, seeing him on the PK now, but even just jumping up in the play and being that offensive threat that you guys knew you were getting when you signed him.
Yeah, he definitely, really, like you said, rounded out his game. I think his first month was a little rough. I think there was an adjustment. I think conditioning has gotten much better to how we need to play, and just this whole overall understanding of what's expected, I think really is upped. And I think, Jalen Chatfield, putting him with him has really helped too. So sometimes the pairings are important, and they seem to have a good mix together.
Rob Brindamore joining us, Dennis Cox sitting in for Adam Gold. We've seen some of these young guys sign their entry-level contracts, Bradley Nadeau, Scott Morrow, Jackson Blake, skating with you guys and skating with the team. Just what have those guys brought to you guys just on the ice and in the locker room, and how much have the veterans on the team embraced those 3?
Well, I mean, they haven't done much yet. I mean, I think there's still potential here in this last 3 games where you'll see maybe all 3 of them play and get some time. I think it's important for them to be around. They're going to be big parts of the future of this team, and whether they help us, immediately or down the road, it's coming. And the sooner we can get them feeling a part of the family and just comfortable with everybody, that's great. And never have to worry about how our guys make them feel. They do a real nice job of making those guys feel important. So there's a good chance you'll see those guys as early as tonight even.
Hey, well, that excites me. Now I'm curious. But final thing for you, Rod Brindamore, head coach of the Carolina Hurricanes. When those guys actually did step on the ice, at practice with you guys, coming from the college ranks, did you see a lot of wide eyes and big saucer eyes being like, oh my goodness, this is a whole different level?
Yeah, no, it is. And the one thing it's great, the college game is a real great avenue to the NHL because they're already playing against men. I mean, the college game is a lot older. There's 23, 24-year-olds playing college hockey, so they're going against men, and so the game itself is not such a huge jump, but all the things you're throwing at them. The NHL game is just obviously a lot more dialed in, and there's a huge learning curve. So that takes a lot of time, but it's exciting to have these young prospects that are certainly full of a lot of talent coming up in the future.
Well, I'm excited about them, and I'm excited about tonight as well in the playoff stretch that's coming up. Rod, best of luck tonight. Thanks so much for your time. Really do appreciate it.
Of course. Anytime. Take care.
That is the head coach of the Carolina Hurricanes, Rob Brindamore. Victoria, we might see some of the young guys.
I know.
We might over these next 3 games.
I'm excited.
Hey, I mean, I know we got playoffs coming up, but hey, no one gets more jazzed up about the future than a fan, right? People are like, we have with that prospect.
I know. Look what he can do.
Young guy. Let's see what that young guy can do. I remember I was in the building at PNC Arena when Warren Fogle got called up from the AHL and made his debut. And I think in those first 2 games, he had like 2 goals and an assist, I think, over those couple games. But he like produced right away, and he scored a first goal. And you see on the bench like this massive smile. It's like, I did it. I got here, and I contributed, and the fans were just loving it up on it. Like, I remember that. I think that was the 2018-2019 season.
Oh, yeah. It's contagious.
It's 100% contagious. But it's so cool when you start seeing that. But yeah, I mean, imagine you don't really see this in many sports where during a season, your college year ends and then you go right to the pros immediately. Sometimes you might see it in baseball if there's like a high-end pitcher or prospect that makes a run in the College World Series and was drafted by a team. They might bring him up for like September and like for the playoff run. You might see it in baseball every once in a while. But imagine, for example, let's say like Jared McCain, who announced from Duke today that he's going to the NBA. Imagine if he had already been drafted before the college season, and then as soon as his college season wraps up, he's going playing for like the Oklahoma City Thunder or something along those lines, like 2 weeks later. That's the interesting thing about hockey, is that you can get drafted, still go play in college, and then once you sign your entry-level contract, you can just go play with the big boys right away. You're good to go.
Love it.
It's wild to think about.
It is crazy.
It's so cool, though. I'm not going to lie. Kind of jealous. Dennis Cox sitting in for Adam Gold this afternoon. Victoria producing us as always. Adam just, enjoying a little time off. We had a busy time out there in Phoenix.
Yeah.
And I know, honestly, I think today was the first day I'm not feeling jet lagged. I actually took the day off yesterday. I'm like, just needed a day just to get some stuff done. Paid the taxes.
Oh, got to do that.
Filed the taxes.
Every year.
By the way, this is a reminder to all of you out there, if you haven't done so, file your taxes. Tax day's Monday, folks. Go ahead and get that done. We'll have an update of the Masters. We'll take a look at the scoreboard and more coming up. In about an hour and a half, Chris Lee from WREL Sports. We're going to talk Carolina Panthers. We'll see you on the other side.
Serving it up hot and fresh every day. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Are you ready to make this a springtime to remember? Because it is that time of the year again. Diamonds Direct's annual spring sale event, where you can get 20% off virtually everything in their showroom, which is already lower price than you're going to find anywhere else. I can't even make sense of this in my own brain. So here's my suggestion. Whether you're in the midst of wedding planning and shopping for bands, or picking out your next fashion jewelry must-have from Diamonds Direct, you can save an extra 20% this weekend, now through April 21st. All bridal and fashion favorites at Diamonds Direct are on sale. This is a big deal, people. You need to go through April 21st. Don't miss these incredible offers right now. Shop, make an appointment online, in-store, diamondsdirect.com. That's great. Tons of stuff. There's more at the showroom. You got to go see it anyway. On Glenwood Avenue, in front of Crabtree Valley Mall in Raleigh, an incredible 20% off right now at Diamonds Direct Crabtree.
Mitchell Heating and Cooling. We do the job right every time.
Protect your heating and cooling system like my offensive line protects me. I'm Drake May, quarterback at UNC. Mitchell Heating and Cooling has been committed to your comfort for 50 years and counting. Call Mitchell Heating and Cooling today.
Contact us now at mitchellhvac.com or 919-556-5069. Train. It's hard to stop a train.
The best solutions every time.
America's favorite car show returns to Raleigh with cool cars, cool people, and good times. It's the Good Guys 9th Griot's Garage North Carolina National, and it's all happening April 19th through the 21st at the North Carolina State Fairgrounds. Check out over 1,500 of the Southeast's finest classes. Shop the swap meet in Vendor Midway. Experience the Metal Crunch and Saturday Night Demolition Derby, and so much more. And don't miss the return of high-octane Good Guys CPV Autocross racing action all weekend long. It's all going down April 19th through the 21st at the North Carolina State Fairgrounds. Get details at good-guys.com.
It's Truck Month at your local Ram dealer, and now's the time to get great deals on our award-winning lineup of trucks. At Ram, all we do is trucks. Maybe that's why Ram is the most awarded light-duty and heavy-duty truck brand over the last 5 years. Ram trucks feature innovative technology and uncompromised power and dependability that give you the power to strengthen your truck game. Go to Ram.com for great deals and hurry in for the best selection of trucks during Ram Truck Month. Based on total full-size pickup awards 2019 to 2023 CYTD, based on standard and available features offered.
If you see me stopped in the McDonald's drive-thru, just staring at the menu with my "what should I order" face, don't interrupt. It's the most important decision I'll make all day.
Enjoy savings every day when you get a McDouble, McChicken, and other faves. Buy one, get one for $1. Plus, get any size Dr. Pepper for just $1.29. Price and participation may vary. Valid for product of equal or lesser value. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
Dogwood State Bank congratulates the NC State basketball men's and women's programs on their historic runs to the NCAA Tournament Final Fours, making us remember to never give up. Thanks for making us all believers in something magical. Go Pack! DogwoodStateBank.com.
They say consistency is the key to success. They weren't wrong. So how about grabbing a beer that's consistently smooth, consistently refreshing, and consistently light? You might just find that the road to success can be pretty enjoyable. Michelob Ultra, the perfect balance of taste and refreshment, and only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
This hour on the Triangle Sports Leader is brought to you by the Ritchie Law Firm Injury Lawyers.
Shoots, he scores!
Go to GotBryan.com. That's GotBryan.com.
WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on radio, web, app, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
Now bouncing puck rolling out, Kemper, they score! Follow the bouncing puck, Jake Gensel. He's got Carolina on the board. Gensel will get to the puck, back for Burns. Burns shot, kicked away. Oh, shoots, he scores! On the rebound, a juicy rebound is pumped home, and the Canes put the squeeze on the Caps. It's 3-2.
Game 80 tonight for the Carolina Hurricanes. Game 80 of 82 of the regular season. Dennis Cox sitting in for Adam Gold this afternoon. Appreciate you tuning in and listening. Victoria Vodnecker producing the show as always. Coming up here in about 90 minutes, we're going to have a long extended Carolina Panthers discussion with my good friend Chris Lee, WRL Sports, my co-host of the Panthers Playbook podcast. We're basically just going to do Panthers Playbook here for you guys live here on air. He's going to join me in studio. Very much looking forward to that because we have a lot of things to discuss because the draft is coming up in 2 weeks. I know it's 13 days really for most teams, but for the Carolina Panthers, it's 2 weeks. But honestly, we'll dive into this a little bit more. You can still be active, if that makes sense, on Thursday, day one, during the first round of the NFL draft because depending on what teams do during the draft and who slides down the draft, because teams might move up to reach for quarterbacks and things get weird. You never know what's going to happen in the draft. Carolina Panthers, that Thursday, even though they might not draft somebody, when they have the 33rd pick, the very first pick in the second round, could have them find themselves with other teams that are bidding more for that draft pick, which you can still get a lot of draft capital, which you need because you have a lot of holes to fill. And you need to fill with a lot of young talent that you can grow and develop. But you might be able to get yourself even draft picks in 2025. You still got to recoup a second-round pick that you used to trade to get Bryce Young in last year's draft. You can possibly recoup that by moving down in the second round from the 33rd pick. Because you still have pick 39. Again, it all depends on what's available. But you have time to really formulate your plan. And I hope Dan Morgan really does that. But first, let's go and let's get this. Let's retry this thing. Masters is taking place, Victoria.
Yes, it is.
Masters taking place.
I can hear the birds chirping already.
You can smell the azaleas
and
with
the
all the
pollen's in
pollen
the
all up in
eyes.
your nose.
Oh, yeah.
But right now, Max Homa, Bryson DeChambeau, both are 7 over. I'm sorry, 7 over. 7 under. My apologies on that. They are both 7 under. Speaking of 7 over, Jordan Spieth is 7 over through 7 holes today. He is my pick to win this thing. I don't think he makes the cut. So, good job, me.
Well,
but hey, you know what?
it's okay.
I'm someone who doesn't really follow golf a whole heck of a lot. But I know he's won a Masters in the past.
I don't really either,
That I know.
so I understand.
But okay. But nonetheless, that's where things stand right now in terms of the Masters. It was interesting because of weather delays early in the day yesterday down there in Augusta. A lot of guys that had late tee times yesterday weren't able to finish their round. Tiger Woods, Max Homa, some of these other guys actually had to finish their rounds this morning and actually had to finish 5 holes. It's not like, all right, I got 1 hole to do, then I'm going to start the second round. It was 5 holes for these guys. The question is going into it, into the day is like, all right, one, it's a longer day. You got to play 23, 22 holes depending on where you finished yesterday. So you have an extended day today. But by the time you actually finished your first round this morning, you had about, like, for example, with Tiger Woods, had like 45 minutes. Basically, you have 45 minutes before he started his second round. Same with Max Homa, because I think they're in the same grouping. I don't know if that's a good thing in terms of, all right, I got a feel for the course already this morning. I already kind of know what to expect. I can kind of feel what the conditions are. And you're already adjusted going in for round 2, whereas opposed to like a Rory McIlroy set to tee off here in like 40 minutes or so, 40, 45 minutes. He hasn't had that yet. He's just on the range, just getting himself warmed up. I don't know if that's an advantage or disadvantage. I'm not entirely sure. I think it's really, honestly, up to the individual. I've never been in that situation before. Anyway, it's just a situation you have to deal with. Them the breaks. So that's kind of where things are right now when it comes to the Masters. I'm curious, Victoria, depending on what DeChambeau does today, like, where's the actual cut line going to be? I know it's usually around like 10 back of the leader. They might take 50. But again, there's also ties and all that kind of stuff involved. But there's going to be some guys like Hideki Matsuyama, Jordan Spieth. Some of these guys aren't even going to make the cut.
Yeah.
Guys who are like notorious, I don't say notorious, but are like,
you thought might have had a good chance, yeah.
I know a lot of people's favorite, Scotty Scheffler, is
Right.
also teeing off. I think he's actually in the same grouping as Rory McIlroy. They're both set to tee off at 1:48 p.m. Scotty Scheffler is 6 back. Now, Max Homa today, the guy who I mentioned who had to finish his first round this morning and is already playing in his second round, he's already through 9 holes. He's already through the front 9 today, and he's 2 under in the second round today. So he's at 7 under. Bryson DeChambeau is even today through 3 holes. Cameron Young is 2 under today through 9 holes as well. So we're seeing a lot of pretty low scores, but who knows when actually the pressure actually gets put on what these guys are going to do. I will admit this, though. I'm not like deep into golf like Adam Gold is. I'm just not.
Right. That's okay.
That's fine. Like Adam's really deep into soccer, really deep into golf. I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm deep into college lacrosse season right now.
Right.
I'm also deep into
just different stuff.
NFL draft. It's just different stuff.
Yeah.
I just one thing I will say that I appreciate the most about the Masters. It's the same course every year.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same. U.S. Open pops around. The Open Championship pops around. The PGA Championship. They pop around at all these different places. It's the one major where it's the same course every single year.
Yep.
And you know exactly what you're getting when you walk into it.
The only thing you don't know is the weather, because apparently that's always been a problem, or it at least has for a couple of years.
But it's also, I think, in golf, this is my opinion in golf, is that it's you against the course in a sense, right? Is that, yeah, there are other guys that are playing their rounds, whatever it might be, but you have to play against the weather conditions. And your weather conditions early, if you had early tee time today, let's say you teed off at, 9 o'clock, is different than someone that tees off at 2.
Yeah.
So it's you versus the course. So that's kind of what does make golf fascinating in this regard. But anyway, that's your Masters update.
Well, there you go.
Right now. So again, Max Homa, 7 under through 9 holes today. his score overall. 2 under today, 7 under overall. Bryson DeChambeau still 7 under overall. Scotty Scheffler, 1 stroke back of those two, has yet to tee off today. Some other guys, again, of note. Again, for example, Jordan Spieth, +7 today. Eesh. Bubba Watson, +10. Overall, he's +8 today. Yeesh. Dustin Johnson, +10 overall. Yeesh. Like, these are guys who are probably not going to make the cut. Ricky Fowler, +4, has not teed off today. Hideki Matsuyama, +4 overall, has yet to tee off today as well. Need big days from those guys. And that's a lot of pressure. That's the one thing as well, is like, depending on when you tee off, there's like, you look at the scoreboard, you're like, ugh.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pressure.
You got to worry about weather and your brain.
Exactly, and your brain.
Your mental.
By the way, the projected cut right now is +3.
Oh.
So that's why for guys like McIlroy and Matsuyama, like, they got to really push up and really be under par today. Phil Mickelson, +2. He's +1 on the day. He bogeyed his first hole. So that's where we are with the Masters. There's your Masters update today. Another bit of news here that we saw. Tyrese Proctor is coming back for Duke. Tyrese Proctor is going to come back for his 3rd season at Duke. Reported by multiple outlets that he's going to be coming back to Durham. Here's something to keep in mind with Tyrese Proctor. He's going to be into his 3rd year of college basketball, but he's super young for his level. Like, for his age, I should say. Does that make sense? He's very young for his age. Very young for his class, I should say. It's the best way of putting it. His freshman year at Duke was supposed to be his senior year in high school. Think about that. His freshman year at Duke was supposed to be his senior year in high school.
And that's a big difference. People
Massive
may not
difference.
think, but that is a big difference.
But I think it's good for him because a lot of people were projecting him to be potentially even a 1st-round draft pick going into this year. It's like, it was good for him because he can kind of start the clock early in terms of being draft eligible, play against better competition, develop himself to get ready for the NBA. This past season was a down year. He's not even projected to be drafted if he were to go to the NBA this year. This is a guy that a lot of people thought was going to be a 1st-round pick last year. He's 6'5", has a pretty decent shot from the outside, can handle the ball on the perimeter as well, though I would like to see him develop a faster first step off the dribble to beat guys going to the rim. Another year of physical development. He's still going to be, 20 years old this upcoming year? 20, maybe turning 21 late in the year. He's still overall, age-wise, young, but he has a lot of experience that a lot of people in his class do not have. Because he was supposed to be in the same class of Jared McCain and Caleb Foster and TJ Power and Sean Stewart. But he came in a little bit earlier and came in with guys like Mark Mitchell and Kyle Filipowski instead, which it still surprises me that Mark Mitchell decided to transfer. We'll dive more into that here in just a few minutes. Dennis Cox sitting in for Adam Gold this afternoon. Victoria producing the show as always. We're going to hear from the head coach of the Carolina Hurricanes, Rob Brindamore, coming up. If you missed that conversation just a little bit ago, we'll replay that for you coming up in just a little bit. But in 4 minutes, one major question. I'm talking about the ACC schools here in the state of North Carolina. One major question for each of those programs. I'll give you that coming up in 4 minutes.
Going beyond the box scores. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Listen to 99.9 The Fan every afternoon during the drive for your chance to see the Storm Surge in person. It's our 10K playoff payout. Try your luck at playoff tickets by discovering the Golden Puck. And like last year, take your ultimate shot at $10,000. Let's go! Listen for the 10K playoff payout, driven by your Carolina Ford dealer. For great offers on a new Ford truck or SUV, see your Carolina Ford dealer today.
It is playoff time in the NBA and the NHL. Baseball's in full swing, and FanDuel is your home to wager on any game you want. FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook, and right now new customers can get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you make your first $5 wager. Go to FanDuel.com, promo code AdamGold. That's FanDuel.com, promo code AdamGold. Anything you want to wager on, slap shots, home runs, slam dunks, all there. $200 in bonus bets, win or lose, when you make your first $5 wager. Visit FanDuel.com, promo code AdamGold to get started. I can't make it any easier. FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Must be 21 and older and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only, $10 deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
What are you doing?
I'm training for the new Ultimate Dash Scratch-Offs. I could get a chance to dash through a warehouse full of prizes.
That explains the shopping cart.
Plus, I could win up to $2 million in cash.
And that explains the tuxedo.
I'm chafing.
Feel the rush with new Ultimate Dash Scratch-Offs from the North Carolina Education Lottery. Must be 18 to play. Approximate overall odds of winning are 1 in 3.78. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Brakes? We can save you 15% on that. We have OE quality Duralast brake pads and rotors in stock, ready for pickup or delivery. We also have calipers, brake fluid, tools, and anything else you'll need to do the job right. When you get Duralast pads and rotors together, you'll save 15%. It's just part of what makes us America's #1 brakes destination.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
It's bow time. Something new just dropped at Bojangles. Take the bold taste of a crispy golden chicken supreme that's been seasoned to perfection, then add dill pickles, Carolina Gold barbecue sauce, and a toasted bun that's great on the go. What do? You get a Bo's Bird Dog. In fact, you can grab 2 of them for $5. So when you're on the go, headed to practice, or need a snack, grab a Bo's Bird Dog. Hurry in before they're gone, available for a limited time. It's bow time.
There's no time like bow time, but sometimes it's go time. No time to stop. Introducing Bojangles' new Bird Dog, a seasoned to perfection Bojangles Chicken Supreme, dill pickles, Carolina Gold barbecue sauce, all on a toasted bun. Great on the go. Try 2 Bird Dogs for just $5 or a 2 Bird Dog combo for just $8. Hurry, Bo's Bird Dogs are available for limited time only. When you're hungry for flavor and value, it's bow time.
Adam Gold here from my friend Dr. Lori Travers and Travers LASIK, the Triangle's only LASIK specialist who can take you to 20/20 vision, and it's more affordable than you think. 0% financing for 24 months is available, and in the spring, giving you $1,000 off. That's right, $1,000 off in the spring. All you got to do is call 919-510-6830, 919-510-6830. Travers LASIK. See what you've been missing.
This is Adam Gold.
There are 2 groups of people who do not really know how college sports works. One are fans. It's not your job. And the other, people who get paid to represent citizens of the United States on Capitol Hill.
The Adam Gold Show.
A lot of people may not realize this, but with the transfer portal with college basketball, coaches have already been working on the offseason before the NCAA tournament was even done. Like Kevin Keats, head coach of NC State, got a transfer from Louisville, 6'10", Huntley Hatfield is his last name. He got him to commit while he was still coaching in the NCAA tournament. That's how wild this is.
Yeah.
By the way, Dennis Cox sitting in for Adam Gold today, Victoria producing. But that's just kind of where things are in terms of college basketball. Because once your season's over, you can enter the transfer portal. We've already seen L.J. Thomas from NC State. He entered the transfer portal. He's committed to Austin Peay. Now, L.J. Thomas really didn't play at all this season. We've seen Cam Woods for NC State. Played, I think, in 13 games this year. Averaged about 7-ish minutes per game. He's in the transfer portal after transferring in from North Carolina A&T State. It's a wild time. Now, here's the thing with Cam Woods is that he came to NC State anticipating not being eligible because he was a multi-time transfer. And then the justice system said the NCAA could not even enforce their own rules when it came to the transfer portal. So it was in like December when he became eligible, Cam Woods that is. Efton Reed for Wake Forest had to fight for it, but he became eligible after missing a few games earlier this season. Efton Reed transferring in from Gonzaga to Wake Forest, their starting center. But even he, anticipating he going into the year that he probably wasn't going to be able to play, Cam Woods is in the transfer portal. So looking at how college teams are handling this, I had a discussion with Tim Donnelly, who hosts The Drive on 99.9 The Fan here in Raleigh from 3 to 6. I was talking with him about this, like what coaches are best able to kind of handle the volatility of college athletics now. Because you didn't deal with this 4 years ago. You just didn't. Because back then, the transfer portal was just really becoming a thing. Players didn't realize the amount of power that they had over their future and even over their present, if that makes sense, which I'm okay with all of it. But also, now with the ability for players to transfer multiple times and not have to sit out, well, in that case, if a player qualifies academically to transfer to any said school, and if a coach wants to take them, then guess what? They can do that. That's their choice. But also with over the last few years, because a lot of players had the extra COVID year, because in the year of 2020, 2021, that college basketball season, you got to play, but it didn't count against your eligibility. Because COVID, there were some programs that shut down for the year, games were getting canceled and stuff because of all the COVID restrictions and everything that was taking place in the world at that time. So guys were able to get an extra year of eligibility. Hence why, like, hey, you know what? I'm a graduate player. Like, for example, Cormac Ryan going to North Carolina. He started off his collegiate career at Stanford, redshirted because he had a redshirt season, transferred to Notre Dame, played there, still had his eligibility for his COVID year, goes to 1 year and plays at the University of North Carolina. We saw Brady Manick do it a couple years ago for the University of North Carolina, transferring in for that 1 year. DJ Horn, NC State, had that COVID year of eligibility, transferred to NC State after playing 2 years at Arizona State. Now, this is going to be the last class of guys that are going to be having that COVID year. For example, the class that has R.J. Davis in it, the class that has Jeremy Roach. Those guys are going to be the last ones that have that COVID year, that fifth year. So that's one of the reasons why we saw the transfer portal being so active, is because guys had that year of eligibility and they wanted to go test and see what was out there, have a new experience if they wanted to. Like, hey, you know what? I already gave 4 years to this one school. I want to go experience something else. That's okay. Whatever your decision, your reasoning is, go for it. So, for example, Michael O'Connell, part of that class as well. He has his fifth year of eligibility, and he's already told Kevin Keats he's coming back to NC State next year. So that class of guys, those guys are going to be, lack of a better term, phased out. Like we're gonna see the end of that here soon. But what coach is best able to handle that? Look at Steve Forbes at Wake Forest. His history of coaching junior college. That guy was active in the transfer portal right away. Right away. Got guys like Appleby, Davian Williamson, Efton Reed, Andrew Carr. Like, he's able to get these guys from the transfer portal. He has that history of, again, being a junior college coach where your roster's turning over basically every single year. He's used to it. We've seen Kevin Keats go heavy into the transfer portal. I mean, gosh, most of the guys that he had playing this stretch run here in the NCAA tournament transferred in at some point in time. Michael O'Connell, transfer. Jaden Taylor, transfer from Butler. O'Connell coming from Stanford. DJ Horn, Arizona State. DJ Burns coming from Winthrop. Ben Middlebrooks coming in from Clemson. Mo Diarra coming in from Missouri. Bunch of guys through the transfer portal. Breon Pass was a recruited guy. Dennis Parker Jr., when he was healthy and playing, was a recruited guy. So again, mostly transfers. Duke has been the program of we're recruiting from within, or like we're building from within. Yeah, Ryan Young was a transfer. He was a graduate transfer, played his last 2 years of eligibility with Duke, but he was a role player. Everyone else, recruited. Carolina was like that balance, that blend, where you saw Cadeau, Davis, Baycott, Tremble, which we'll get into that here in just a second. But we saw those guys were all recruited from within the program, built within the program. But then he went and got out Cormac Ryan, Harrison Ingram, Jalen Withers, and Paxton Wojcik. Those guys were from the transfer portal. Jalen Washington played a bunch this past season, another guy that was recruited. So a mix. I don't know if there's any right way, but to me, there's a lot of noise when it comes to college basketball and just college sports in general. Who's best equipped to handle it? I think it's the team that grows from within. The team that grows from within. And I think that's where we're going to see probably Duke and Carolina are probably the ones that best handle it the best, I should say. Not that NC State can't, not that Wake Forest can't, but we're seeing Duke and Carolina build from within the program. Granted, I'll look at NC State. A lot of those guys I mentioned, DJ Burns, multiple-year transfer. Ben Middlebrooks is going to be a multiple-year transfer. Jaden Taylor, multiple-year transfer. Michael O'Connell, multiple-year transfer. I mean, that's just as good as having a guy, freshman and sophomore year than going into the NBA. I don't know if there's a true right or wrong way, but there's one glaring question for each of those 4 basketball programs. As I just mentioned a bunch of NC State guys, so I'll mention them. I'll start with NC State. DJ Horn and DJ Burns are gone. Who's your go-to scorer now? Who's your go-to guy? DJ Horn turned into being that go-to guy for NC State. Now for DJ Burns, his unique ability as a passer really dictated a lot when it comes to how the offense was run for NC State. I'm curious to see what their offensive sets are going to look like next year without having DJ Burns in the middle. Because, again, you couldn't collapse on him down low. We saw in the game when they were at Notre Dame this past season, they had ran a sidelines out of bounds play late in the game, did NC State. They went inside to DJ Burns because they knew that if Notre Dame collapsed on him, Kevin Keatts said this, if they collapse on him, he's going to find the open guy. But if you play him one-on-one, he's got the touch around the rim when he can finish. Like, he was their closer, the big guy inside.
He was huge for them. Pun intended, not intended.
But that's a big thing. Like, you knew exactly who you're going to go with. Now the question is, who's that going to be going forward? Like, who takes over that role? But they have a lot of guys, believe it or not, they have a lot of guys returning, does NC State. For Duke, Mark Mitchell into the transfer portal, 2-year starter as a power forward. Ryan Young, who I mentioned a little bit ago, out of eligibility. He was like their backup big guy. My anticipation, a lot of people are anticipating this, that Kyle Filipowski is going to be going to the NBA. He's one of your starting big men. Christian Reeves, who's with the team for the last couple of years, is also in the transfer portal. My big major question for Duke going forward, where's your experience up front? Like, where's your experience in the front court? Like, honestly, for me, for NC State, it's like the opposite. You have a ton of experience because Mo Diarra coming back, Middlebrooks coming back, Huntley Hatfield coming out of the transfer portal from Louisville, who's 6'10". That's a lot of experience in your front court. Duke, I don't know who that is. You're bringing in freshmen. Now, is it Sean Stewart? Played 1 year this year. Didn't play in every game. Didn't get a ton of minutes in every time that he saw action. Where's the experience at in the front court? That's the big question for me when it comes to Duke. For North Carolina, big question is, how do you replace Baycott? Like, that was like the go-to guy, right? He and RJ Davis. Like, those are your go-tos. Now, a tertiary concern, lack of air quote concern for North Carolina is, does RJ Davis come back for his final year of eligibility? To be determined. You're still going to have to fill now the roster spot of Seth Trimble, which was a massive loss, in my opinion, for North Carolina, because being the sixth guy off the bench, ball handler, shutdown guy on the perimeter was Seth Trimble. He fit that role perfectly. I love what Seth Trimble brought to North Carolina this past season, but he's in the transfer portal. And Baycott's graduated. You still got to fill the spot of Cormac Ryan as well. Now, you can probably go into the transfer portal and find another Cormac Ryan, Kent Huber Davis, because you're the University of North Carolina, and you've had a bunch of success, and people can see that too. But how do you replace Baycott? Like, he was a standard, like the standard bearer for your program for the last 5 years. How do you replace that? That's a massive thing to fix. Now, I love Jalen Washington's game. He's grown over the last 2 years. He's going to have to step up and be that guy. But Jalen Withers is out of eligibility, is my understanding as well. He was a graduate transfer from Louisville. So there's some inexperience still down low, even for North Carolina. So very similar to Duke, but at least I know one of those guys that's coming back. But still, how do you replace a go-to guy like Baycott down in the post? And then for Wake Forest, they still have a lot of guys that are coming back. I know Miller is going into the transfer portal, but you still have Carr, Hildreth, Efton Reed, Hunter Salas, my understanding, is coming back next year. Like that team, when I watched Wake Forest play last year, saw them play in person at the ACC tournament a couple times, saw them play in Durham against Duke where they played them super tight, but Duke was able to pull away and edge them out in that game. I looked at that Wake Forest team and I was like, that's a tournament team that could, honestly, looking at them talent-wise, the way they were running up and down the floor with Duke, I was like, they could pull off some upsets and get to the Sweet 16.
I think they definitely should have gotten further than they actually did.
Oh, and they'll tell you the exact same thing. Their problem was they couldn't win on the road.
Mm-mm.
And that's my major concern for them going into the offseason. It's like, it's the thing that you couldn't. It's one thing like, okay, I can go get a big man, right? Because I need a post player or I need a wing player and go recruit one out of the transfer portal, whatever it might be. It's hard to fix something that's intangible. And that's like the big concern. How do you fix something that's intangible when it comes to winning on the road?
And you could see Steve Forbes' face every post presser, like, I'm just so frustrated with this.
Well, yeah, it's frustrating. They lost one game at home.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it was late in the season against Georgia Tech and it ended up being a costly loss nonetheless. But if they were able to be slightly better on the road.
Yeah.
Like that's a tournament team. Like that, looking at that roster, that was a tournament team. That's a good basketball team. It really is. And I think now going into be year 5 for Steve Forbes. Those first few years, he had to handle or had to navigate going through COVID restrictions and all that stuff. Like, it affected everybody. And it had to affect someone even further or even more who was going into a new program, new location where you couldn't really meet together on campus, and recruiting and everything was so different. But how do you fix something that's intangible like that during an off season? Winning on the road. Like, the only way you can fix it is by actually doing it. It's a hard thing to do. It's a hard thing to figure out. But I really like that roster a lot. I really love their lineup. That their lineup 1 through 5, I was like, these guys can run with anybody.
Yeah.
They can run with anybody. They have all of it. They really do. And I'm pretty bullish on Wake Forest. I really am. Man, we really have some awesome basketball here in the state of North Carolina.
Yeah, we
really
do. It's the best.
We really do. The fact that, first time ever, by the way, I don't know if Adam touched on it earlier this week, but the AP poll, the final AP rankings for college men's basketball came out earlier this week. If I remember correctly, it was Carolina 7, Duke 8, and NC State 10. First time ever that the 3 teams in the triangle finished the AP poll ranked in the top 10 ever.
Wow.
Ever.
They deserve it.
That's awesome.
It is crazy, though, that it's first time ever.
We are so spoiled when it comes to college basketball here in the state of North Carolina.
Good.
Like, it's so fun.
That's why so many, and I mean, I know I'm biased because I'm from the Triad area,
Yeah.
but that's why so many people really miss having the ACC tournaments always in Greensboro, because this feels like the birthplace of college basketball.
I like to say the state of North Carolina is the mecca of college basketball.
Yeah.
It is the capital of college basketball. Like, we're the hoop state for a reason. Now, ACC tournament is going to be in the state of North Carolina for the next 5 years. We got mix between Charlotte and Greensboro, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. By the way, I don't know if Adam mentioned this yesterday or the day before. We had first and second round NCAA tournament games this year at Charlotte, at Spectrum Center. Greensboro Coliseum last year had first and second round games in the NCAA tournament. 2025 PNC Arena here in Raleigh.
I know. I saw that.
It's going to have first and second round games.
That's exciting.
When I was in Charlotte, I actually ran into someone who works for the Carolina Hurricanes, because they do a lot of the arena stuff, like with concerts and stuff. I ran into someone there behind the scenes when I was covering Carolina when they were playing against Wagner. And I was like, what are you doing here? I won't say who it is. I was like, what are you doing here? He's like, oh, we're hosting games next year.
Nice.
So I'm trying to get a feel
Oh, yeah. No, you had some inside information.
Well, yeah, he's just trying to get a feel of how the NCAA was laying things out in terms
Sure.
of locker rooms, media access, and those kinds of things, because you have a lot of different people
lot of
that are running
planning
back
ahead.
and forth. So, anyway,
That's
just kind
exciting.
of where, kind of exciting to see that. We're going to have NCAA tournament action right back here in the capital city.
Yeah, right down the road if you're in the Raleigh area.
Speaking of PNC Arena, we're going to see some hockey at PNC Arena coming up here in the very near future. And the next time we see hockey at PNC Arena, it's going to be the Carolina Hurricanes in the playoffs. Now, who they're playing, to be determined. Could be the Islanders, could be the Capitals, could be the Flyers. There's even an outside chance it could be Detroit. Hey, there's a lot of different possibilities. That's why we turn to the head coach of the Carolina Hurricanes, Rod Brindamore. Joining us now here on the Adam Gold Show, it is the head coach of the Carolina Hurricanes, Rod Brindamore. All right, Rod, I'm not going to lie. I'm itching for the playoffs to go ahead and get started, especially the way you guys played on Tuesday against Boston. Are you guys feeling the same way? Like, hey, let's just get this thing going.
Yeah. Well, I think all the players know that that's the, exciting time of the year to, get to. But they also know we got to finish the year out right. And that's the task here at hand.
All right, finishing the year out right, what does that look like in your mind? What does that mean for you guys, finishing the year out right?
Yeah, well, just playing it the right way. And, obviously we want to win every game, but just making sure we're good habits and things that'll, carry over into next week when we play in the playoffs. So that's the main goal of it. And, we had a good game the other night. That's the kind of effort and the habits that we made moving forward.
Dennis Cox sitting in for Adam Gold, Rod Brindamore joining us here. How vital is it for you all? We saw goals scored from the Aho line, Gensel, then Jarvis with the shorthanded goal, Svechnikov scoring as well with using the lacrosse goal. Also, Taylor Vinen scoring as well. How vital is it for you to have multiple lines going and being a threat offensively for you all?
Yeah, that's how we're built, right? So we're not heavily relying on one guy or even a couple guys. We need the sum of parts, some of all the parts to be good, and the 20 guys, when they're out there contributing in some form or fashion. If we're going to be the team we want to be, which I think everyone's understanding of their roles, that's what we're going to need.
All right, Rod, one of the new guys that was brought in, obviously we know what Jake Gensel has been doing. But Evgeny Kuznetsov being centering a line, what we've seen recently alongside Teuvo Teravainen and alongside Martin Necas. Adjustments are different for every single player after a trade, especially going into, again, new team, new system, new guys that you're playing around. How is Kuznetsov, even though we might not see the points over the last 10 games, what other ways is he impacting the game for you all, even if it's just maybe being a threat on the ice, knowing what he's done in the past in his career?
Yeah, no, he knows how to win, obviously. And, I think you're right. I mean, we're still kind of trying to figure out the best fit and maybe how he kind of integrates into the group. We know he's got a lot of skill, a lot of talent. So there's certain areas, you see him in special teams areas. And when there's open ice, he's certainly definitely a threat there. So it's really, these last 3 games will really for the whole lineup, but just might be see different lineups, different, lines and things, just trying to make sure we kind of exhaust everything. And when we hit the playoffs, we got the best group going out there.
It seems like since Kuznetsov has been added to the team, Dmitry Orlov has been playing great over the last several months as is anyway, but it seems like Dmitry is almost unlocked another level on the back end, whether it's obviously being stout defensively, seeing him on the PK now, but even just jumping up in the play and being that offensive threat that you guys knew you were getting when you signed him.
Yeah, he definitely, really, like you said, rounded out his game. I think his first month was real rough. I think there was an adjustment. I think conditioning has gotten much better to how we need to play, and just his whole overall understanding of what's expected, I think really is up. And I think, Jalen Chatfield, putting him with him has really helped too. So sometimes the pairings are important, and they seem to have a good mix together.
Rob Brindamore joining us, Dennis Cox sitting in for Adam Gold. We've seen some of these young guys sign their entry-level contracts, Bradley Nadeau, Scott Morrow, Jackson Blake, skating with you guys and skating with the team. Just what have those guys brought to you guys just on the ice and in the locker room, and how much have the veterans on the team embraced those three?
Well, I mean, they haven't done much yet. I mean, I think there's still potential here in this last few games where you'll see maybe all three of them, play and get some time. I think it's important for them to be around. They're going to be big parts of the future of this team, and whether they help us, immediately or down the road, it's coming. And the sooner we can get them feeling a part of the family and just comfortable with everybody, that's great. And never have to worry about how our guys make them feel. They do a real nice job of making those guys feel important. So, there's a good chance you'll see those guys as early as tonight even.
Hey, well, that excites me. Now I'm curious. But final thing for you, Rod Brindamore, head coach of the Carolina Hurricanes. When those guys actually did step on the ice, at practice with you guys, coming from the college ranks, did you see a lot of wide eyes and big saucer eyes, being like, "Oh my goodness, this is a whole different level"?
Yeah, no, it is. And the one thing it's great. The college game is a real great avenue to the NHL because they're already playing against men. I mean, the college game is a lot older. There's 23, 24-year-olds playing college hockey, so they're going against men, and so the game itself is not such a huge jump, but all the things you're throwing at them, the NHL game is just obviously a lot more dialed in, and there's a huge learning curve. So that takes a lot of time, but it's exciting to have these young prospects that are certainly full of a lot of talent coming up in the future.
Well, I'm excited about them, and I'm excited about tonight as well in the playoff stretch that's coming up. Rod, best of luck tonight. Thanks so much for your time. Really do appreciate it.
Of course. Anytime. Take care.
Big thanks to head coach Rod Brindamore once again. These young guys, Bradley Nadeau, Scott Morrow, Jackson Blake, we might see some of these guys playing in the next few games, Victoria. I don't know. But
super exciting to hear about. I'm anxious for that.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm pumped for what this team already is right now and what they're hopefully going to do in the playoffs. This team has all the makings of being a Stanley Cup winning team, and I think it's Stanley Cup or bust.
Yeah.
In my mind, got to get to the Stanley Cup Finals. Simple as that. You've been knocking on the door. For
too long now. You can only do that for so long before it's too late.
Let's get there. I
know. I'm ready.
I'm excited. I'm pumped for it. But nonetheless, we might see some of these young guys, which might be a good thing, especially if there's some guys that are nursing some stuff. Just hey, you know what? Rod even said this the other day when Andrei Svechnikov was feeling a little bit under the weather. It's look, if guys aren't 100%, there's no need for us to put them out there.
Right.
Not right now.
No.
We got bigger fish to fry.
Yes, coming up soon. So, yeah.
Not wait for it.
And Rod's smart, too. He knows. Maybe just keep the guys out there for a few minutes, keep the rust off of them, and then put the new ones in there.
Exactly.
I like it.
I'm excited to see what these guys do. But guess what? If they go out there and struggle, it's fine. Hey, you know what? Your first NHL game, no pressure. We're not asking you to go out there and win us the Stanley Cup right now.
No.
Just go out there. Just go play. Get a feel for it. And that's fine.
And then win the cup later.
Yeah, exactly. Win the cup later. Which actually, I think if they play in a regular season game this year and the Canes win the cup, their name goes on it.
Oh, it does. They'll get a ring.
Yaniv Peretz is going to see his name on the Stanley Cup.
Name will be on the cup. They'll get it all. That'll be awesome. Oh, man, that would be so cool.
So cool. Just have your name on the Stanley Cup. It's yeah, you know what? I played one game.
Yeah, that's it. Got a few mil. Got my name on a cup.
Exactly. Got my name on the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
Dennis Cox sitting in for Adam Gold. Victoria producing us as always. We got 7th inning stretch. We've got some bets to place. We got a lot coming up. I know Victoria is probably going to give us a parlay on UFC 300 this weekend.
Let's go.
I know what's coming because I know it's coming. We'll have that for you coming up.
Raleigh to Boone, Charlotte to Chapel Hill. Your Carolina is covered. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Fair housing is more than just a celebration in April. For North Carolina's realtors, it's an everyday standard. For the 56,000 realtors across our state, we embrace and support fair housing to stamp out discrimination in all forms. As realtors, we believe fairness is worth fighting for, and we won't stop until the fight is won. Celebrating Fair Housing Month, North Carolina Realtors. We open doors to everyone. Paid for by North Carolina Realtors.
It's playoff time in the NBA and the NHL. Baseball's in full swing, and FanDuel is your place to bet on every game. Adam Gold here. And right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you make your first $5 wager, because you know me. FanDuel.com, promo code AGS to sign up. FanDuel.com, promo code AGS to sign up. Then you can bet on anything. Slap shots, home runs, slam dunks, all on an app that is safe, secure, and easy to use. $200 in bonus bets await when you place your first $5 wager. Visit FanDuel.com, promo code AGS to get started. FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Must be 21 and older and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $10 deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
The Body Armor State Games are coming to Charlotte this June. Registration is open to athletes of all ages and skill levels in 25 different sports. The Body Armor State Games features 13,000 athletes and 700 teams. Don't miss out on North Carolina's largest sports festival of the year. Visit bodyarmorstategames.org today. The Body Armor State Games are proud to partner with Truist, Harris Teeter, and Blue Cross and Blue Shield of North Carolina.
Trust ACT Construction Equipment and Bandit Wood Chippers and Stump Grinders to position your tree service for success. ACT Construction Equipment is your authorized dealer for sales, service, parts, and rentals for Bandit Wood Chippers and Stump Grinders. ACT Construction Equipment has been your authorized dealer for Bandit equipment for over 10 years. Visit one of our 6 North and South Carolina locations or actce.com for more details on Bandit Wood Chippers and Stump Grinders. ACT Construction Equipment, always the right equipment for the job.
Healthcare.gov is here for you when life happens. If you lost your health coverage because of turning 26, going off Medicaid, leaving your job, or moving, you could be eligible to enroll in new coverage now. And if you need to update your coverage because of marriage or having a baby, you could also be eligible. But don't wait. There's a limited time to enroll. Check your eligibility at healthcare.gov today. Life happens. Get covered. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
It's the first day of the first grade, and she found a new best friend. It's a laid-back Sunday afternoon you wish would never end.
The homemade taste of Bluebell and good friends gathered round. The good old days are being made right now.
St. Louis brought the world gooey butter cake. Now Bluebell brings us gooey butter cake ice cream. A cake batter ice cream with a luscious cream cheese swirl and gooey butter cake pieces. It's the gateway to the best in pints and half gallons.
The good old days are being made right now.
The good old days are being made right now.
Look for Bluebell ice cream at your local grocer and pick up your favorite flavor today.
When you're high, you feel different. But if you feel different, you drive different. So don't drive high. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
This is Adam Gold.
Listen, the ACC is not as bad as everyone out there, Joe Lenardi and all the proctologists.
Wow. Whoa.
It's
Wait a second. Victoria, did you hear that? It's a proctologist.
The Adam Gold Show.
Well, SR71, I have not heard this song in a minute.
I know, that's what I thought too.
I've not heard this song in a bit.
No. It's like throwback, yes, please.
Yeah, she clings to me like cellophane. Never tell a significant other that they're
Probably
clinging.
not wise.
Don't ever do that.
Probably
Don't ever do
not.
that.
Not great.
I'm not saying that from personal experience because I never said it before.
Right,
because
you're
I'm
smart
wise
enough
like that.
To not do that.
Little wisdom for
Yeah.
all of you out there before we start 7th inning stretch.
Just in case you were wondering.
Don't ever tell your significant other that they're clinging.
Yeah, or call them stage 5. That's not.
Well, get out if that's the case. Find a way out.
Right.
All right. I'm Dennis Cox sitting in for Adam Gold. That's Victoria producing as always. Let's get this thing started with the 7th inning stretch.
Woo! Oh man, I need to stretch after some Drive Shack action because I'm sore.
Oh, you went to Drive Shack?
I did on my day off.
Jealous.
I love going there. Yeah, but I'm feeling it because I am
sure.
not a golfer. But it's fun to try.
I think the Top Golf out there off of
I know.
in Durham is actually open now.
Is it? Oh man, if it is, I gotta go visit that one. But where you shouldn't visit when you have an empty stomach is the grocery store.
Oh gosh, I fall victim to that all the time.
Yes, me too.
Everything looks so good.
Yes, everything. And you feel like, because my eyes are always bigger than my stomach anyway, so if food looks good, I'm
Mine
like,
aren't.
yes, give me all of it. But there is actually studies. There's new data that has pinpointed just about how much more we spend per trip if you go on an empty stomach. And it says that you could spend up to $26 extra than what you planned on just because you're hungry.
That's it?
That's it.
That's it?
And I'm wondering if they're correct on that.
I skew that towards the high side. Let's be real. Like,
where am I hungry at? Am I hungry at Food Lion or am I at Wegmans? Because if I'm at Wegmans, then you can go ahead and like quadruple this. So,
well, I think that's actually the key, depending on where you are. Right. Like if you are at a Wegmans, for example, if you are hungry and you need to go grocery shopping, go to one of the food bars that they have.
Oh,
order
danger.
something real fat and then eat first.
Mhm.
So then you're satiated. Then go do your grocery shop.
Yes. See, I've gone there when I'm hungry and not eaten it as soon as I got it, and I'm like, "Ooh, that looks good. That looks good." I mean, it's the danger zone. I'm telling you.
One thing I try to do, like the grocery stores that have like the short carts.
Yeah,
I always try to get the short cart. Never try to get
Yes.
we need more of the short carts
Yes.
at grocery stores. Or I carry in a basket. That way I prevent myself if I'm hungry.
This
from
bag is getting
overloading.
heavier.
Like, why do you have two baskets, sir?
I know. Well, stop judging. Mind your business.
Hey, I'm working out here, okay?
Okay, then just mind your business. But yeah, it did say also that 76% of the people who are doing this are spending it on unhealthy things. Duh. Please,
yes, of course.
Again, I'm not shocked by any of this. So
double stuffed Oreos, please and thank you.
Well, or any new flavor of Oreo. They come out with a new one all the time.
I get like 6 boxes of cereal.
No. I could crush cereal. But yeah, so just be careful if you are shopping, maybe for the weekend. Eat a little snack or something before you go, because you're going to spend more money. Now, one thing that we can't help if you spend is taxes. And this
it's
kind
that
of
time, folks.
I know you mentioned it, and I read this article and I thought, ooh, I should probably talk about this. Even though everyone hates it, a study found that the average American will pay just under $525,000 in taxes in their life. Yeah, so that's about 35% of your income. And that's not just income tax, it's also the sales tax, the property tax. And depending on where you live, it's just... I know. What are we doing?
There's so much I could do with $530,000.
So many things. Biff could have so many treats with this. So, yeah.
So many shoes.
I know. It's just so
I would have a second motorcycle.
I know. It's just, there's so many different things. But one thing that is new, and it's kind of a throwback like the song I played. Remember all the scary movies? Like, quote, scary movies. They've got 5. So the 5th one was 11 years ago. Now they're coming out with another one.
Of course they are.
They are making a reboot.
We're not doing anything original.
Exactly. So they say because it's been 11 years, there's plenty of new material. They're going to use things like The Conjuring, Megan, Hereditary. So yeah, all that stuff.
So the scary movies, the first one was a parody of the Scream movies. That's what it was. And that's what it is. They're parodies of actual horror films.
Right.
That's what they are.
Right.
And
now they're bringing it back. So, yes, for number 6.
Why not?
And last but not least, speaking of movies, I was a huge Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fan. Loved it growing up.
I know exactly where you're going with this, but go on.
Yes. They're making a new animated movie that's going to be rated R.
Oh, I think it's a live action.
Yes, called The Last Ronin.
Yes, The Last Ronin is a comic books miniseries that Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird, the original creators of the Ninja Turtles, wrote, and it came out about a couple years ago.
Yep.
It is one of the best comic book stories that I've ever read, and it is fantastic. And I think they're actually doing a live action, not anime. I think it's going to be live action, which is even better.
Yeah.
But because the live action Ninja Turtles from 1990, still the best one.
Well, this one is a new animated one that's going to be rated R.
Oh, okay.
So
I thought it was going to be a live
And they
action.
say that it's a pretty dark turn, by the way. So if you're not mentally prepared for it, or maybe you don't need to be,
Okay, because I read that it was a live action R-rated.
They might be doing two different ones, but this one
Okay.
definitely is animated.
Okay,
so.
well, I saw the Hollywood Reporter announce that it's going to be a live action as well. So you know what? Give me the live action version.
Yeah, why
and
not?
Rated R.
I'll take both.
But nonetheless, that story, The Last Ronin, is absolutely fantastic. I will not spoil it. But as someone who's a big comic book reader, not only did I get the single issues, but when it came out in hardcover, I bought it too.
Nice.
So good.
All the things. But you know what you can use to spend on that kind of stuff?
Make some
Maybe
bets.
bits.
Place your bets. Place your bets. Here we are. I bet you slice into the woods $100.
Gambling is illegal at Bushwood, sir, and I never slide.
Okay, you can owe me. I owe you nothing.
All right, Victoria, start us off.
Oh, I'm so excited.
I know you are.
I'm so excited. So I was actually on with Paul and Graham earlier for Next Up. There's a 9 o'clock hour here, and I got to talk MMA stuff with Aaron Bronstetter. So it was so good. It's so fun. And we talked about fights like this. My first one, Holly Holm versus Kayla Harrison.
Nice.
So Kayla is making her UFC debut, but she is a judo champ and an Olympic gold medalist. Holly Holm, I like her, but I think Kayla, she is jacked. So I think Kayla's going to come, win by submission. That's plus 290.
Okay, all right, because last time we saw Holly Holm fight someone who specialized in judo and competing in the Olympics, Holly Holm crushed her in less than 60, in the second round. That was against Ronda Rousey. But granted, that was also a long time ago.
That was a long time ago, yes.
But nonetheless, I'm actually going to go UFC 300. Aljamain Sterling versus Calvin Kattar. Give me Aljamain Sterling to win by decision, plus 130.
All right, and my next one, Justin Gaethje versus Max Holloway.
Oh, this is going to be a banger.
Cannot wait for this one. Both of these guys are tough. They got that dog in them. I think Justin, however, is going to come away with a win here. It's probably going to go all the rounds, so give me him by the points, plus 290.
Bo Nickel is a heavy favorite against Coney Brundage.
Like, ridiculous favorite.
Like, just to win the fight outright is like minus, like, what thousand, like multiple thousand, whatever it is. But give me Bo Nickel to actually win by knockout in this one, plus 140.
Yeah, Bo Nickel's actually undefeated. He's 5-0 in the UFC, so it's crazy. My last one is the main event, Alex Pereira versus Jamal Hill. Another banger. Love both of these guys. And Jamal actually showed mad respect for Alex recently, so love that. But I think Alex is going to win by the points, plus 550.
All right, I'm going to give you a final one here. Going to give you a lacrosse bets because that's just what I do. Give me Queens in an upset against Robert Morris in men's lacrosse, plus 650. Queens right here in the state of North Carolina. Let's go. Dennis Cox sitting in for Adam Gold. Here on the other side, we're actually hear from head coach Rod Brindamore what he said about some of these young guys that might play here soon.
Going beyond the box scores. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
A torn ACL, stress fracture, aching back, a hip that's had it, life on hold, and all you want is to get it back. Enter Wake Orthopedics. Our fellowship-trained orthopedists do it all. General, sports, pediatric, joint replacement, fractures, spine, prevention, advanced diagnostics, progressive treatments, minimally invasive procedures, surgeries, and more. Visit wakemed.org/wakeortho and get back your life.
April is here, and if your windows won't open for fresh air or seal tight to keep out pollen and bugs, then talk to Window Nation right now. For every 2 windows you buy, you'll get 2 free. There's no limit to how much you could save. Plus, you could save even more with no interest or payments for 24 months. With proven quality, you'll get affordable windows that meet or beat the national brands. Don't miss out. Call 866-90-NATION or visit windownation.com to schedule your free in-home estimate.
Pulling up to Mickey D's just for drinks? Oh yeah, that's me. Nothing extra, just perfection and a straw. Coming in hot for the coldest cups on the block. Because there are drinks. Then there are drinks from McDonald's.
Now get an ice cold lemonade, frozen Coca-Cola, or iced coffee.
Any size for just $179.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Price and participation may vary, cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
Did you know one of the best investments you can make? It's in yourself. At My Computer Career, in just a few months, you could start your new career in the high-demand, recession-resistant field of information technology. Isn't it time you invest in you and start a career in networking, cybersecurity, AI, or upskill to boost your current IT career? So, get the ROI you deserve at My Computer Career. No experience necessary. Start now at mycomputercareer.edu.
Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GI Bill.
Dogwood State Bank congratulates the NC State basketball men's and women's programs on their historic runs to the NCAA Tournament Final Fours, making us remember to never give up. Thanks for making us all believers in something magical. Go Pack! DogwoodStateBank.com.
The wait is over. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of NASCAR, is now live in North Carolina. Now you can legally bet on all your favorite sports anytime, anywhere, right in North Carolina with DraftKings. For a limited time, new customers who sign up with promo code TIMD, T-I-M-D, no spaces, and bet $5, they'll receive $200 instantly in bonus bets. DraftKings has the best features, including same-game parlays, player props, and more, with fast and easy payouts right at your fingertips. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now using code TIMD and bet $5 to get $200 instantly in bonus bets only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code TIMD. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 877-185-543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov. 21 plus, North Carolina only. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. Deposit and eligibility restrictions apply. Terms at DraftKings.com/sportsbook/NC. NASCAR is not a sponsor of this promotion and used under license.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for less. And for a limited time, new customers receive their second month free when they sign up and use promo code MONTHFREE by May 31st. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
This hour on the Triangle Sports Leader is brought to you by the Ritchie Law Firm Injury Lawyers.
Shoot, he scores!
Go to GotBryan.com. That's GotBryan.com.
WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on radio, web, app, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
You're listening to The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Because it's Friday, you ain't got no job, and you ain't got to do.
It's Friday, gotta get down on Friday.
It is a beautiful Friday here in the state of North Carolina. Absolutely gorgeous outside. Dennis Cox sitting in for Adam Gold today. Victoria producing the program today. It's 2 o'clock, which means the Wall of Sound.
The Wall of Sound is a function of this studio. There's no doubt about it.
By the way, coming up here in about 30 minutes, my good friend Chris Lee from WREL Sports is going to join me here in studio. He and I host a podcast together called Panthers Playbook, available wherever you get your podcasts. We've been putting some episodes out for you all during the off season as well. We have one after every single game this past season for the Carolina Panthers, including preseason games. There was a lot to talk about. Let's just put it that way. But we're going to talk a little bit more about the off season. He's going to join me here. We're basically going to do Panthers Playbook for you guys right here. But until then, the Wall of Sound, where we hear different sound bites from different people across the sports world, locally, nationally, you name it. We've got a lot of different things. So earlier today, we had Rob Brindamore, the head coach of the Carolina Hurricanes, on today. They play tonight at 8 o'clock. They're on the road at the St. Louis Blues, game number 80 of the regular season for Carolina. I asked Rod about the young guys in the locker room, how the veterans have embraced them, but also he said something interesting about these young guys and when we might see them.
Well, I mean, they haven't done much yet. I mean, I think there's still potential here in this last few games where you'll see maybe all three of them, play and get some time. I think it's important for them to be around. They're going to be big parts of the future of this team. And whether they help us, immediately or down the road, it's coming. And the sooner we can get them feeling a part of the family and, just comfortable with everybody, that's great. And, never have to worry about how our guys make them feel. They do a real nice job of making those guys feel important. So, there's a good chance you'll see those guys as early as tonight even.
Hey, well, that excites me. Now I'm curious. But final thing for you, Rod Brindamore, head coach of the Carolina Hurricanes. When those guys actually did step on the ice, at practice with you guys, coming from the college ranks, did you see a lot of wide eyes and big saucer eyes, being like, "Oh my goodness, this is a whole different level"?
Yeah, no, it is. And the one thing it's great. The college game is a real great avenue to the NHL because they're already playing against men. I mean, the college game's a lot older. There's 23, 24-year-olds playing college hockey, so they're going against men, and so the game itself is not such a huge jump, but all the things you're throwing at them. The NHL game is just obviously a lot more dialed in, and there's a huge learning curve. So that takes a lot of time, but it's exciting to have these young prospects that are certainly full of a lot of talent coming up in the future.
It's very exciting, and also knowing the fact that we might even see one of those guys tonight. By chance, by the way, the Carolina Hurricanes did not have a morning skate today out in St. Louis, but we might see one of these young guys. It might be a thing. And you know what?
That'd be great.
You know what? And here's the thing. If one of those young guys steps into the lineup and can contribute right away and it gives you the best chance to win a cup, Rod Brindamore will play that person. If they are ready and they can help you win, they'll play them. Simple as that. You know why? Because your goal is to win a Stanley Cup. And you'll do anything and everything necessary in order to do that. I'm not saying we will see that. But don't be, if it happens, don't be shocked. Is all I'm saying. I doubt it's going to happen, though. By the way, real quick, speaking of one of those young guys, Jackson Blake from the University of North Dakota just signed his entry-level contract the other day. Hobie Baker Award finalist for Best Player in all of college hockey. All right, young man, what was your first practice with the team like?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty crazy to think of it like that. Obviously being here since Sunday, but, finally getting to go practice with the team is pretty special. I think I had a little bit of nerves going into it, but, I expected that, and it's nice to get the first one under the way.
Go and get that first one. Go ahead and get that first one. Quick shift over here. We're actually going to go to Major League Baseball. So, a lot of people may not know of the investigation going on regarding Shohei Ohtani of the Los Angeles Dodgers. So, it was reported, accused, said that the former interpreter of Shohei Ohtani stole a bunch of his money over several years and used it in illegal bets in the state of California. Sports betting is not legal in the state of California. So if you're going to bet, you either have to go over state lines into a state that does, or you're doing it illegally, like through an illegal bookkeeper and things along those lines. Well, reportedly, his ex-interpreter stole a lot of his money, or there's wire transfers of his and so on and so forth. Well, the former interpreter of Shohei Ohtani apparently stole more than $16 million over 2 years from the LA Dodgers star to pay off gambling debts to an illegal sports book. This according to an affidavit filed by federal authorities yesterday. Here is Martin Estrada, U.S. attorney, announcing of $16 million theft against the former interpreter.
Our investigation has revealed that due to the position of trust he occupied with Mr. Ohtani, Mr. Mitsuhara had unique access to Mr. Ohtani's finances. Mr. Mitsuhara used and abused that position of trust in order to take advantage of Mr. Ohtani. Mr. Mitsuhara used and abused that position of trust in order to plunder Mr. Ohtani's bank account to the tune of over $16 million.
Yo. 16 mil. So,
yeah, it quadrupled from what everyone thought.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
4.5 to 16.
Over 2 years. That's a lot of money. So Ippei Mitsuhara is the former interpreter of Shohei Ohtani. He's the one that is being accused and now being charged of stealing more than $16 million from Shohei Ohtani. Now, he had, as Attorney Estrada said, he had unique access to his trust, to his bank accounts, and that's how he was able to access these things. And that's how he was able to approve these wire transfers and so on and so forth. I've never been in a position where I've had that kind of money. Never have. Likely never will, but hey.
It's a lot.
Still holding out hope.
Yeah.
Cross fingers over here.
Never know.
But you got to trust. I mean, there's a level of trust from one individual to another to handle their finances. Simple as that. Like, they're even like spouses who've lived with each other for years that are like, I still don't.
Yeah, we have separate bank accounts or whatever.
Bank accounts and all that stuff. But still, like, it is a thing. Like, that's my money. I worked and earned it. Not you. In order to give someone that level of trust. But, man, it's still allegedly still $16 million over 2 years.
It's a lot. And see, I thought not noticing $4.5 million was like, what? But 16.
But it's also one of those, I mean, maybe it's one of the things as well when you have so much money in your bank account.
True, because
like, it's kind of hard to tell. Like, again, if you just move a little bit at a time.
Yeah.
Like, in this case, just $500,000 at a time. But for some people, when they have that much money, it might not be that noticeable because, again, you're having other people help handle your finances for you. You are trusting them to do those things. It's not like us where we pull up our bank account app and look and like, wait a second, like there's a few $100s missing here. What's going on? And then you start looking through your transaction history and realize, like, oh yeah, that automatic payment came through, whatever it is. It's a little different when you got, 9+ figures in the bank account. But still $16 million. But a lot of people, this is where Shohei Ohtani comes in, is that a lot of people are wondering if this quote unquote stolen money, I'm going to say that air quotes, is actually Ohtani was making bets, but he was using his interpreter and other people to make the bets for him, basically to be the fall guy. That's speculation, no proof of it. But we'll see. We'll see what all comes of it. By the way, we didn't catch this earlier in the show. We had a little breaking news here. Breaking news I'm not surprised by. We talked about it earlier today, how Jared McCain, guard for Duke, announced that he's going to the NBA draft. Kyle Filipowski, big man, announced earlier on his social media that he too is entering the NBA draft. So there it is. Jared McCain, Kyle Filipowski of Duke, both going to the NBA draft.
Yep.
Not surprised.
No.
Not surprised in the least. Those guys are first-round picks. Not surprised in the least.
Talking about making money.
Oh, yeah, they're going to make plenty. Well, here's the thing. Those guys probably were or did make money this past season at Duke.
Yeah, with NIL,
with
for
NIL,
sure.
Absolutely. But, yeah, those guys are going to be first-round picks more than likely in the upcoming draft this June. So, yeah, that's what you're going to get. You're going to get those guys being first-round picks. So good on Kyle Filipowski, good on Jared McCain. Seriously, any of these guys that are looking to play professionally, sincerely, best of luck. I truly hope that it works out. It doesn't for everybody. It's just a reality. It doesn't work out for everyone. Doesn't mean I don't want it to happen for everyone. It just simply doesn't. There just aren't enough spots for all the players. Your sport retires you more often than not. People don't realize that when it comes to sports. Like, for example, like watching the NCAA tournament, like there are guys that were playing that over the NCAA tournament, you see that team get eliminated. For a lot of those guys, that's the last time they're ever going to put on a uniform and play competitively. It's just a reality. It's just a reality. I don't know if people actually truly grasp that when a team gets eliminated from a tournament in the postseason. Even in the like conference tournaments. Like there's like a senior on a team that maybe played a little bit. They're not going to have a shot to play overseas. They're just not. They're like, you know what? Like going overseas and maybe making a little bit of money, and it's not something that everyone's willing to do because it's a hard thing. Yeah, your sport retires you more often than not. I know I deviated there from what the story was in terms of, or what the news being, Kyle Filipowski going to the NBA. He announced that today, just about an hour ago. So congrats to him.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Like, I think because a couple teams have to forfeit some second-round draft picks, there's only 58 guys that are going to get drafted into the NBA this year. That's it. Now, normally it's 60, but again, 2 teams had to forfeit picks for various reasons in the second round. So 58 guys are going to get drafted. That's it. 58. Think about that. 58 guys are going to get drafted. That's what it is. All right. Going to take a quick break. On the other side, Carolina Hurricanes have a lot to play for moving forward. We'll talk about that coming up.
Serving it up hot and fresh every day. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Golf's first major will be found on 99.9 The Fan. Listen all week long as we cover golf's lasting tradition, the Masters. Find out if John Rahm can go back-to-back at Augusta.
Rahm wins the Masters Marathon.
Depend on us for constant leaderboard updates and every big moment through the presentation of the Champion's Jacket. Coverage of the Masters on 99.9 The Fan is teamed up by Trayburn Country Club, the Triangles Golf Escape.
Look, I realize we have the Masters going on this weekend, but y'all, UFC 300 is tomorrow, and if you are an MMA fan like me, you are going to want to look at these odds. Hey, it's Victoria Vodnecker here for BetMGM, and like I mentioned, there is a massive card this weekend, and I am telling you, there will be upsets. And BetMGM gives you a ton of options, and this is the perfect time to give it a try, because right now you can get $150 in bonus bets just by making your first $5 wager and using code Victoria150. Now, whether you win or lose that bet, you're still going to get that $150 in bonus bets. Plus, when you're using the BetMGM app, you're going to have options like same-game parlays, live bets, prop bets, and fun daily promotions that I love. So for $5, you get $150 to experiment with in bonus bets by using code Victoria150. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 plus, only North Carolina only. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
It's bow time. Something new just dropped at Bojangles. Take the bold taste of a crispy golden chicken supreme that's been seasoned to perfection, then add dill pickles, Carolina Gold barbecue sauce, and a toasted bun that's great on the go. What do you get? You get a Bo's Bird Dog. In fact, you can grab 2 of them for $5. So when you're on the go, headed to practice, or need a snack, grab a Bo's Bird Dog. Hurry in before they're gone. Available for a limited time. It's bow time.
There's no time like bow time, but sometimes it's go time. No time to stop. Introducing Bojangles' new Bird Dog, a seasoned to perfection Bojangles Chicken Supreme, dill pickles, Carolina Gold barbecue sauce, all on a toasted bun. Great on the go. Try 2 bird dogs for just $5 or a 2 bird dog combo for just $8. Hurry, Bo's Bird Dogs are available for limited time only. When you're hungry for flavor and value, it's bow time.
We're going abroad for the first time in years. To Spain. So we started using Babbel.
And started learning Spanish fast.
With Babbel, you can start having conversations in another language in just 3 weeks.
¿Cómo te llamas? ¿Cómo te llamas?
When you learn a language, you want to actually use it. Babbel is designed with that goal in mind.
In just 3 weeks, we're starting to have conversations in Spanish. Gracias, Babbel.
Babbel, language for life. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Gabby.
Hey, Gabby. It's Jennifer Coolidge. Hi. I'm so glad I reached you at 2 a.m.
Oh, of course. Anyone with a Discover card can call and talk to a real person 24/7. Now, how can I help?
Yeah, I used my Discover card to buy these yellow pleather pajamas, and I'm just not sure I'm pulling them off.
24/7 U.S.-based customer service. It pays to Discover. Limitations apply. Learn more at discover.com/creditcard.
Sanja loves to bake, but her feet, they were throbbing. Then one day, I found a solution. Arch supports from the Good Feet store. Have foot pain? Good Feet could help.
You too can live the life you love with arch supports from the Good Feet store.
This hour on the Triangle Sports Leader is brought to you by the Ritchie Law Firm Injury Lawyers.
Shoot! He scores!
Go to GotBrian.com. That's GotBrian.com.
This is Adam Gold.
Is a hot dog a sandwich, Mike?
Is a pizza a sandwich then? It's bread with toppings and stuff.
When you fold it, yeah. And it's a calzone. And calzone's a sandwich too.
Oh goodness!
They're all under the sandwich umbrella. So is that a yes or a no?
That is a debate I will never embrace.
Oh my gosh! Oh my God!
The Adam Gold Show.
So the Carolina Hurricanes are in action tonight. They're on the road taking on the St. Louis Blues. Second of a 4-game road stretch. Road trip, I should say, for the Carolina Hurricanes as they close out the regular season. Play tonight on the road, again, at St. Louis. Sunday on the road at Chicago. That's a 6 o'clock game on Sunday. And then at Columbus, 7 o'clock game on Tuesday. That's it. Then the regular season's done.
Over.
Done. But that's when things really get started, when you think about it.
Oh, yeah.
Because from my understanding, the NHL playoffs are set to begin, it looks like, the weekend of the 20th and 21st. So that's Saturday, Sunday. When the Canes play, don't know. Who they're playing, don't know. We just know it's going to be a home game at PNC Arena. But there are still a lot of things for this Carolina Hurricanes team, both individually as for some players and as a team as a whole for head coach Rob Brindamore to figure out between now and that point. And you get to use these last 3 games to figure that out. Now, when we spoke to Rob Brindamore a little bit earlier today, he did hint that there might be some tweaks to lines in the lineup today. The Carolina Hurricanes did not practice, did not have a morning skate earlier today in St. Louis. But nonetheless, he talked about, or at least hinted that we might see some tweaking. And that's something that Rob Brindamore has to figure out between now and then. Them being the playoffs. Who plays with who? We know the line of Sebastian Aho, Seth Jarvis, Jake Gensel. That trio right there has been lights out. Has been flat out awesome. If you actually look at the numbers of what Jake Gensel has done in the game, and since he's actually come back from his injury after the trade deadline to play with the Carolina Hurricanes,
super
impressive. He's like on a pace for like 100. If you take what he's done so far and you stretch out over the course of a season, over 82 games, he'd be like a 100-plus point guy.
Yeah.
Like, it's amazing what that dude has been doing.
He just fit right in. It was super impressive.
And that's actually a lot of people said that going in, like, yeah, that's you want that guy.
Yeah.
Because he fits Rob Brind'Amore's system early. So Jake Gensel with Carolina, if you put this out over an 82-game season, the pace that he's on right now, you're looking at 33 goals, 87 assists, so that's 120 points, a plus-minus rating of plus 66 with 262 shots on goal. Yeah, that's the level of production that we're seeing right now from Jake Gensel. And it's not like he's done this over like 4 games. Like, no, this has been over like 13, 14, whatever it is. Like, that's what we're seeing. So we know him playing alongside Aho and Jarvis just fine. It's awesome. It's awesome. Carolina hasn't had a top line like that in a long time. It's after that with your forward group. Who plays with who? Who skates alongside Evgeny Kuznetsov? The last few games, it's been Martin Necas and Teuvo Teravainen. Teuvo Teravainen on that line actually makes things better defensively for them. Oftentimes we look at offensive production, but defensively, you want to make sure you're not giving up a ton of scoring chances. You're not stuck in your own end a whole lot. Teravainen skating with those two guys because he's so responsible defensively makes that line better in that regard. When Svetch was playing there, I know a lot of people are like, oh, we can load up with 2 scoring lines. That line's not very good defensively, and the advanced numbers showed it. So who plays where? Where does Svechnikov play? Right now he's playing alongside Jordan Martinook, and he's playing alongside Jordan Staal. Now, Jordan Martinook, Jordan Staal, defensive stalwarts in terms of forwards, heavy forecheck guys, puck possession, and guess what? Svechnikov can be the guy that finishes for them. 2 goals and an assist the last 2 games. Maybe that's the start of a heater for him, which if that's the case, awesome.
I'm here for it. I'll bring the ice water.
I'm all here for it as well. But then you look at Jack Drury's playing alongside Stefan Nason and Jesper Fast on the quote-unquote 4th line. So again, outside of that top trio of Aho, Gensel, and Jarvis, a lot of fluidity there between those lines. The other three lines, a lot of fluidity. And we talked with Rob Brindamore. He said, you got to have scoring threats throughout your whole lineup. That's what they're built on. They're not built on one guy or one line that to carry the load and then hopefully that you get 4 power play opportunities or 5 of them and you score once off of that. Like, that's not how this team is built. What we saw against Boston on Tuesday, where he had goals from each of those first 3 lines I had mentioned, like, that's what you're looking for. So, again, that top line, solidified. Your defensive pairs, those 6, solidified. And I probably would say Freddie Anderson and net as well. The way Anderson has been playing, unless his game just completely falls off over these next couple starts that he has or whatever. Freddie Anderson's your guy. But guess what? If you got to roll with Kochetkov too, cool. You can win with him. But there's a lot of fluidity and volatility, I guess you can say, with your lineup that Carolina head coach Rob Brindamore needs to figure out. Some guys individually that need to figure things out. I mentioned Svechnikov. The last couple games, especially against Boston, like, that's the Andrei Svechnikov we want to see. A consistent scoring threat, wins battles along the wall, plays physical, doesn't take any stupid penalties. You get that, Andrei? Watch out. Like, if he's playing on a line opposite of, or different than Aho and all that, watch out. That's scoring throughout the lineup. That makes that line so much better. Another guy to keep in mind, Evgeny Kuznetsov. He'll be playing his 18th game with the Canes tonight. His first 3 games with Carolina didn't produce any points, which is to be expected. He had missed a chunk of time for some stuff off the ice that he was dealing with. Then over a 4-game stretch, he had 5 points. He had 2 goals and 3 assists. Been the 10 games since then, no goals, 2 assists, -2 rating. In terms of plus minus, -2. He's averaging over 14.5 minutes a game. If he's going to be this team's number 2 center behind Sebastian Aho and skate on the power play and skate alongside Martin Necas or Teuvo Teravainen and some of these other guys, he needs to be a consistent threat on the ice. He doesn't have to be 5 points over 4 games. If he does it, awesome. I mean, that's the term I like to use, unless you're going to do it. But if he's consistently being an offensive threat and he's not a defensive liability, then when you have scoring throughout the entire lineup for Carolina, where you know that any line that goes out there is a scoring threat, watch out. Watch out, because if Carolina's on the road and it's only that top line is scoring, well, when that top line's out there, I'm putting my best defensive forwards out there and my top defensive unit. The other team. I'm loading up to stop that one line. That's what happens. But when you have scoring threats throughout the lineup, that's when Carolina's most dangerous. We saw that against Boston. Can we see that consistently come play at the time? They have the talent. This team has the talent. There's no doubt about it. We know defensively they can shut teams down. They got the goaltending. When they need to make the saves, they're there. Simple as that. But some of these guys individually, especially I look at Kuznetsov, they elevate come the right time. A week from now, this team can make that Stanley Cup run that we've been talking about. Dennis Cox sitting in for Adam Gold this afternoon. If you miss any of the show, check it on the Best of the Adam Gold Show podcast. It's wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, you name it. But also, if you go on YouTube, 99.9 The Fan, the flagship station for the Adam Gold Show. If you go check out their YouTube page, you can subscribe there. There's a playlist of the Adam Gold Show. There's a playlist of Victoria. She does her MMA minute. She's already got something up for UFC 300, if I remember correctly. It's already up there. There's a lot of different content out there for you all to explore, to check out. But if you want to interact with the show, you want to leave comments and those kinds of things, go to 99.9 The Fan's YouTube page, subscribe there, hit the little notification bell so anytime we drop something new, you get a little notification for yourself as well. But again, I know I like to read the comments. I like to interact with people on that platform because, again, it's a great way for you to interact directly with us. So make sure you do that. But also when you subscribe, we have a video out there on the homepage of our YouTube channel we hit 10,000 followers. Here at 99.9 The Fan, on that page, we hit 10,000 followers. There's a video of myself, Adam, Victoria, Tim, who hosts the afternoon show here at 99.9 The Fan, thanking you all for subscribing. But if you subscribe and you watch that video, it's less than 90 seconds.
Yeah.
A chance for you to enter to win some things.
And very cool things.
Very awesome things as well. So again, make sure you subscribe and you do that. Coming up here in 4 minutes, my man Chris Lee, WRAL Sports. What's his big concern for the Carolina Panthers this offseason as the NFL draft approaches? We'll talk to him in 4 minutes.
Serving it up hot and fresh every day. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Trust ACT Construction Equipment and Bandit Wood Chippers and Stump Grinders to position your tree service for success. ACT Construction Equipment is your authorized dealer for sales, service, parts, and rentals for Bandit Wood Chippers and Stump Grinders. ACT Construction Equipment has been your authorized dealer for Bandit equipment for over 10 years. Visit one of our 6 North and South Carolina locations or actce.com for more details on Bandit Wood Chippers and Stump Grinders. ACT Construction Equipment, always the right equipment for the job.
Everyone goes through tough times, and everyone can get through them, as long as they don't have to do it alone. Dial 988 if you need someone to talk to. Get what you need to get to a better place. Together, we'll find the care that works best for you. We're here 24/7. Call, text, or chat 988. 988. Let's get through it together. Brought to you by the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services.
The Body Armor State Games are coming to Charlotte this June. Registration is open to athletes of all ages and skill levels in 25 different sports. The Body Armor State Games features 13,000 athletes and 700 teams. Don't miss out on North Carolina's largest sports festival of the year. Visit bodyarmorstategames.org today. The Body Armor State Games are proud to partner with Truist, Harris Teeter, and Blue Cross and Blue Shield of North Carolina.
Fair housing is more than just a celebration in April. For North Carolina's realtors, it's an everyday standard. For the 56,000 realtors across our state, we embrace and support fair housing to stamp out discrimination in all forms. As realtors, we believe fairness is worth fighting for, and we won't stop until the fight is won. Celebrating Fair Housing Month, North Carolina Realtors. We open doors to everyone. Paid for by North Carolina Realtors.
It's the first day of the first grade, and she found a new best friend. It's a laid-back Sunday afternoon you wish would never end. The homemade taste of Bluebell and good friends gathered round. The good old days are being made right now.
St. Louis brought the world gooey butter cake. Now Bluebell brings us gooey butter cake ice cream. A cake batter ice cream with a luscious cream cheese swirl and gooey butter cake pieces. It's the gateway to the best in pints and half gallons.
The good old days are being made right now. The good old days are being made right now.
Look for Bluebell ice cream at your local grocer and pick up your favorite flavor today.
Agriculture drives our local economy. I'm Lee Ivey, Director of the Agriculture Institute at NC State University, and we are looking for our next generation of leaders. If you want to make a difference and help feed the world, join us at the Ag Institute, where we grow successful graduates, productive futures, and rewarding lifestyles. We offer 2-year degrees and hundreds of internships. Learn more online by searching NC State Ag Institute. Deadline for fall enrollment is June 1st. 2 years, 1 degree, endless possibilities.
Turning 65 soon? Navigating Medicare can be overwhelming and confusing, but you're not alone. The NC Department of Insurance SHIP program can help. SHIP counselors can help you understand Medicare benefits to make your best choices. Visit ncship.com or call toll-free at 855-408-1212. SHIP provides free, unbiased help in all 100 counties.
Project supported by grants from the Administration for Community Living. Contents do not necessarily represent official views of, nor an endorsement by ACL, HHS, or the U.S. government.
To some, a baby's babbling doesn't mean much. But little to no babbling by 12 months or later is just one of the possible signs of autism in children. Learn more at autismspeaks.org. Brought to you by Ad Council.
This is Adam Gold.
What type of soup is Jason Kelsey?
He would be like a chicken and dumplings.
Oh, chicken and dumpling.
Yeah.
Very nice. Maybe like an Italian wedding soup. What kind of soup would Travis Kelsey be?
Travis, I feel like he'd be like a tomato bisque.
The Adam Gold Show.
Dennis Cox sitting in for Adam Gold today. Going to close things out here, talking a little bit of Carolina Panthers. My man Chris Lee, WREL Sports, joining me live in studio. Happy birthday to you, by the way.
Thank you, sir.
Happy
It's Aries
birthday.
season. Love it.
I don't know what that means.
Ooh,
but,
Aries season. Let's go, Chris.
Aries season. Are you?
Yes, my birthday was the 24th.
I'm sorry. I missed March 24th?
Yeah.
That was supposed to be my due date, but I was born 2.5 weeks
It's
late.
all right. Great people were created this season. It's fine.
I
High
didn't
five.
That's why you're so awesome, because you're an Aries.
Ditto.
And me and Brianna are both
Yes.
April 10th.
Exactly.
My mom's birthday's yesterday, by the way.
Happy belated birthday to
Yeah.
Mrs. Cox.
Mama Cox, happy birthday. All right, Chris. Let's dive into the offseason for the Carolina Panthers. All right, Chris. Give me a grade. Carolina Panthers offseason. I gave a grade. I said B, B+. What's your grade so far this offseason for the Carolina Panthers?
Just understand that I had very, very low expectations after the way
I think
last year.
very few of us had
And
expectations.
so they have exceeded my expectations, and so I would give them an A-.
Really?
Yes.
A- this offseason.
And I didn't think that I'd be there after trading away Brian Burns. Like, I would think if you traded away Brian Burns, you're going to have to really do something to impress me enough. And honestly, I don't feel like anybody one-for-one has replaced Brian Burns, right? You don't have a one-for-one replacement. But for what they do have, I feel like going into this year, I'm not going to make any absolute statements. I do feel like the Carolina Panthers' defensive line and their front seven could be better than what it was last year.
I'll agree with you on that. I'll 100% agree with you on that. The one thing I will say with the trade for Brian Burns is that I feel like the edge rushers that they've signed, whether it's Wanham, Jadeveon Clowney,
Kayvon Chasen.
Yeah, Chasen. I feel like these would be guys that would be great opposite of Brian Burns. Like, that's the thing. Like, we have seen, like, with Jadeveon Clowney, like, when he was successful with Cleveland, Myles Garrett was on the other side.
Yeah.
Or there was Justin Matabuke on the defensive line with Baltimore when he was there. So that's the thing that kind of confuses me a little bit. I don't say confuses me, is that it's the one thing it's like, man, I wish these guys were opposite of Brian Burns.
Well,
like, that's the thing they needed last year.
You're right. They absolutely needed it last year. But here's one thing that I think it kind of makes sense if you look at it. Jadeveon Clowney isn't necessarily known for his sack numbers, but he's one of those guys where he continues to get a job.
He's an analytics darling.
Because he really he eats up blockers. He can stop the run, and then also whoever is on the other side of him typically starts to eat. So you're talking about somebody like DJ Wanham, who last year played on the opposite side of Danielle Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
Now he has basically a Danielle Hunter on the other side that can help free him up, and then we'll see what Kayvon Chasen can potentially do. This is more so a prove it thing for him. You're a former first rounder.
Mm-hmm.
You have a chance to come and prove, see if there's still something there. We're kicking the tires on this. But, like, again, nobody is a one-for-one replacement for Brian Burns. I do not think that the Panthers' sack totals will be crazy high, but I do think they will be very hard to do to run against. They'll be very hard to pass against.
And I think also the A'Shawn Robinson signing as well.
My goodness.
Like they needed someone on the interior to go next to Derek Brown.
And
we'll
how much that's going to help Derek Brown as well, because I don't think while Derek Brown has been there, I don't think he's been with somebody that he can look in the eye and say, you're close to being my equal.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying A'Shawn is there, but he's close. And I mean, that guy is huge. And like huge.
6'4", 330.
He's huge, and he's going to help eat up space for Derek Brown. Like, that is going to be a nightmare. Them and Shy Tuttle, they're going to be a nightmare to run against for any team this upcoming season.
I always felt like Shai Tuttle will be like the good complementary rotation guy, which we saw Evero use a lot of guys in rotation, but I feel like Tuttle was asked to be what Robinson is going to be. I feel like Tuttle can be a little bit more of like a rotational piece, especially when you get into sub packages.
I think Tuttle, since they do that, the 3 defensive linemen. I think Tuttle's right there in the middle. You have Ashawn and Derek Brown on the opposite side of him. And then you have the edges right there with inside of what is Jero Evero's system. And so that is something I think is going to help out everybody. So maybe you can look at that and think that the middle is going to be weak with Tuttle.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. I'm sure LeBron Ray is going to come in and out at some point.
Yeah.
But I do think that along with adding Josie Jewell and Shaq Thompson is going to be back, that front 7 is going to be very tough to run against. And that's been a problem, I think. I don't think that the Panthers have been very good at stopping the run since 2017, which was the last time they went to the playoffs.
Yeah.
So, we'll see what this is. This is a lot of very good complementary pieces together. And where before you had a superstar here, and a lot of regular Joes.
Yeah.
that kind of filled in. And
a lot of guys.
Essentially,
Gags.
if the Panthers can stay healthy, maybe things look a little bit better for them.
Maybe. We'll see. But again, the expectations that we have for this upcoming year, again, they finished 2-15.
Yeah, still low.
Like that's the one thing I want to make sure. Like, we'll get into this in a second. Like, so many of us, including myself, was like, yo, I drank the Kool-Aid. And I'm like, nah, I ain't sipping that this year. I'm not sipping that this year. Like, I'm gonna wait and see. I'll stand in line, but I'm gonna wait and see, because they're not going to be able to, the Carolina Panthers, all the holes that they had.
Yeah.
They're not going to be able to fill all that in one off season.
No.
Holes from personnel, from coaching, all these things. It's not going to be an overnight fix. That's why I say it. To me, it's like 2025, 2026 season really is when you expect to see that. But I don't know. I don't know if this upcoming season is going to be like that great of a win total. Like, it might be a 6-win season, but or maybe just be a 5.
Whoa.
Might be 4.
Okay.
Might be 4.
Right. Whoa.
Might be 4. But you know what? As long as there's like a semblance of like, oh, you actually look like a real football team that's actually moving forward as a franchise, I think that, for me, that's what I want to see this upcoming year.
And also, how do you lose, right? Is it that you fought your butts off the entire time and the other team just happens to have Patrick Mahomes or Justin Herbert or whatever, these quarterbacks that they are going to face this season?
Oh, yeah.
And they're just better, and they were able to drive it down the field for the last-minute touchdown or last-minute field goal, and they won it. And it's like, okay, we fought hard. We were in the game. We weren't embarrassing. That was the part for me the last 2 or 3 years where it's like the team was just embarrassing.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't just the win total. It was just how embarrassing they looked. Even in their 2 wins, they looked embarrassing.
Yeah.
Because I'm still scratching my head on how Houston lost that game.
Oh, I know. Gosh.
How? And I mean, I was there for that particular game. So it's those are the things that I think I'm looking for. I do think that the moves that were made were a good step in the right direction for the Carolina Panthers to look like a better team. So that way it frees them up to make better decisions in the draft.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And you don't have to reach, because we saw what happens when you reach, right? They were reaching for DJ Johnson. In some ways, they reached for Bryce Young, but I'm not going to put that on Bryce Young. That's more so the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, it's not Bryce Young's fault.
They had bad moments years prior to that, which led to them saying, let's get rid of DJ Moore and try to go up to the number 1, try to get this dude. You know what I'm saying? They were desperate. I don't think they're in a desperate position this year, which is good, because I bought a car one time, and I was desperate. I needed to walk away that day with that car. 45 days later, the transmission blew in that car.
Course.
Literally 45 days later.
Yeah.
And I told myself I would never, ever buy a car in a desperate situation ever again, because I just didn't really check. That's what the Carolina Panthers have been doing. Mm-hmm. Their transmission was about to blow, and they didn't even know it because they were desperate.
Oh, yeah.
And that's literally their season last year.
Spark plugs, everything was just – all that was going haywire before even like a snap of a preseason game last year. That's kind of where they were. Well, what's your favorite – all right, I'll give you my favorite move so far this offseason. The signing of Derek Brown to a long-term deal. That's actually been my favorite move so far this offseason. I've liked a lot of them. Like the Deontay Johnson trade.
Yeah.
I love that move.
Yes.
Love it because I'm like, okay, you traded away Dante Jackson that you were going to cut anyway.
Yes.
And you upgraded at wide receiver, which you needed anyway, and you just swapped picks in the process. Like, you didn't lose your number of picks. You just went from a 6th to a 7th. Like, yeah, I like that move a lot. But I think solidifying Derek Brown, I think, was the big thing that they needed to do this offseason, in my opinion. That was my favorite move that they did because, like, all right, that's a core piece on our defense that we're building around that guy right there.
Absolutely. You actually kind of said mine with the Deontay Johnson thing.
Okay, but yeah.
But just to do something different, I'll just say the defense as a whole, right? Because one of the more underrated parts of the offseason for the Carolina Panthers that I don't think we talk about enough is that Ejiro Evero is back with his entire staff, right? And so he said the other day in his press conference, he's never been a part when he was an assistant or whatever positions he's had, and since he's been in the NFL, he's never been a part of a staff where the entire defensive staff came back. So he was like, we're literally, after week 18, we're basically rolling into week 19. Like, everything is the same. We just have a few new players. And one of the things that I think Dan Morgan did a really good job with, he got a lot of complimentary players who know what they're doing under that system. Josie Jewell had his best season 2 years ago with the Denver Broncos as a linebacker because he played for Evero. Ashawn Robinson had a really good year with the Rams. He played with Evero, and Evero was on that staff. Jordan Fuller. And he's spoken highly of Dane Jackson, said he was one of the guys he was looking at, wanted to get with him, wanted the Rams to draft him, ended up going to Buffalo, one of the guys that Dan Morgan did look at and ended up helping to draft up in Buffalo. I'm not expecting Dane Jackson to be this amazing player, but the whole point is it feels like this year everything is in line. I said this on a prior episode of Panthers Playbook with you. It felt like last year they were just like, this is Golden Corral, baby. We gotta get the pizza bar. We gotta get the chocolate fountain. We gotta get the beef tips. We gotta get the fried chicken. We're gonna get everything.
Where my yeast rolls at?
We gotta get the yeast roll, son, with the honey spread. This year they're like, you know what? Let's just focus on what we do best. We are Bojangles. Let's get some chicken.
Hey, Five Guys.
Let's get the chicken right.
Let's Five Guys this thing. Yeah, we do burgers and fries.
That's it. That's all we do.
But that's okay.
And I like it because everything feels like it's actually in line. They tried to trick us into saying that they had alignment. That was the big word last year. Alignment.
Yes.
And clearly there was no alignment. It really feels like there's alignment this year.
I think that's the term we've come up with for Dan Morgan and Dave Canales is the alignment. It's like a wrestling stable. We are the alignment.
It's a wrestling stable right now.
We are the alignment. That's what they are right now. I mean, whatever it is that they got to do. By the way, that's Chris Lee. Dennis Cox here sitting in for Adam Gold. Chris Lee, my co-host on the Panthers Playbook podcast, sitting in here on the Adam Gold Show. Another move I really love, the offensive line signings. Like 3 pieces? Like 3 pieces, like 2 starting guards and a backup tackle. Then I guess the plan is to have Brady Christensen be a backup interior offensive lineman. Austin Corbett, they plan to move to center. That's the big question mark, I'd say. But you know what? We talked about it a lot. The protection for Bryce Young was awful last season. We all saw it. I mean, Bryce Young also didn't play great as well. He was a rookie. But the offensive line stunk. Let's just call it what it was.
Well, he didn't play well because he didn't have time.
Well, I mean, there's a multitude of factors that all compounded onto each other.
Yeah.
But it's going to help the running game a ton, which will help Bryce Young. He's going to have the protection, which is going to help Bryce. Like, it's not sexy moves signing 2 interior offensive linemen to start, but they needed it. They needed it desperately.
Think about the difference, right?
Yeah.
You get rid of Bradley Bozeman, and you're telling Brady Christensen he's going to the bench. And those 2 signings literally went from the Carolina Panthers having one of the worst offensive lines in the league, like your 29th or 30th or whatever they were.
Bad.
And now they're projected to be the 5th best in the league.
I think a lot of that lies on Ike Ekwonu's development.
That it does, but also like he's never had a solid guard next to him. He's never had a superstar that could help him out. And another part of it that we've also discovered too is like Bradley Bozeman wasn't very good as the center. You are the leader of that offensive line. Yeah. You are giving out the protection calls and things like that, and it just never worked with him for whatever reason for that system.
No.
I'm not saying he's a bad player, but for that system, it just did not work. So now Austin Corbett can move to the inside. He was already pretty much the de facto leader of that line anyway. And so he can really play that role. And now you have some Rough Riders next to Ike Ekwonu. And if Ike doesn't work, they have Yash Nijman.
Yeah, who
right
started
there,
a bunch of games last year.
Who started a bunch of games last year, who's ready just to come in and fill in. So, like, literally they're saying, Ike, we're giving you the chance. This is up to you.
Oh, yeah.
Just like with Bryce. They're saying, Bryce, we're giving you the chance. This is up to you now.
Yeah. It's this offseason, again, overall, I'm trying not to sip the Kool-Aid, man. I got a red Solo cup here in front of me. I'm trying not to, I'm like, it's just water in here. I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid
I think
yet.
there's a difference in what we're talking about now than how we were talking about it last year.
100%.
I think last year we got to that point to where it was just like, we're tired of losing. It's 5 wins every year. We haven't been to the playoffs since 2017. This has to be the year.
Yeah.
And then you get a new coach, new energy, new blood, and it's like, okay, this has to be it. This is a former NFL head coach who had experience and all that type of thing, and then we were just all disappointed. And now we're coming into it, and we're like, David Tepper is still the owner.
Oh, yeah.
He could still mess up.
Oh, yeah.
We still have a lot of the same players. This team is not going to go from 2 wins to 15 wins in 1 year. It's not going to happen.
Unless you're going to do it.
It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
So we're just like, okay, Dan Morgan just made some real GM moves, and everything feels like they're in alignment, as we said earlier. And so now we just feel better. We feel like if we're going to lose games, we're going to look good while losing those games, instead of looking like the NFL's doormat, which is what they've been over the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, it has not been good overall. And I think this is where Dan Morgan, I think, like you said, he's made some real GM moves. But where he's really going to make his money is what he does in 2 weeks. What he does at the draft.
Yes.
Like, that's the thing.
Yes.
It's what he does at the draft is where he's going to make this money. For example, like, he's been part of the drafts since he got here in 2021.
Yep.
Like, he's been part of it. Now, like, there's been some good ones because, again, he was underneath Scott Fitterer. Like, J.C. Horn, heck of a player. Heck of a player. But guess what? Can't stay healthy, right? Tommy Tremble, I think a good number 2 tight end. Chuba Hubbard, I think he's going to be the feature back according to Dan Morgan going into this season.
Yeah.
But
he's really a 1.5. Yeah.
1.5, 2 is really what it is. But that's really it. There's Terrace Marshall Jr. was a 2nd-round pick. Did not pan out. And there's Brady Christensen as well.
He might get cut this year.
He might, which would not shock me. Yeah. And I'm surprised he hasn't been already. Let's be honest.
They just need the bodies right now. But just in 2 weeks, though, we'll see.
Exactly.
2 weeks will determine that.
But that's it from your 2021 class.
Yeah.
Like, that's really it. Yeah. And obviously, Brady Christensen was part of that as well. Go to 2022. Last season, we only saw 3 guys on the roster from the 2022 draft class. 3. They're Ike Ekwonu, which still a question mark. I saw that the potential's there, still a question mark. A change of coach and system might be the best thing for Ike Ekwonu, to be determined.
We thought that last year, but you know.
Last year was a dumpster fire. Cade Mays, interior offensive lineman who played a chunk last season out of necessity. Like, I don't even know if he makes it through training camp, to be honest with you.
I have something to say about that, but keep going.
But yeah,
keep cooking.
But then Amari Barno, great special teams player.
Yeah.
Love what he does in special teams. That's it. 3 dudes from your 2022 class. That's it. And then you even look at last year. Yeah, Bryce Young, still question marks, still young.
Yeah.
Jonathan Mingo, still question marks there. DJ Johnson, what are we doing? Then you had Chandler Zavala, which injured a bunch last season, but still question marks. And then you didn't really get much of Jamie Robinson. Like that. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, that's the last 3 drafts for the Carolina Panthers. Who's, like, the real impact player? Like, in all honesty, like, who's the truly impact player that the Carolina Panthers have drafted over the last 3 years?
Victoria Q to Key Sweat. Nobody.
Exactly.
Nobody.
My point. Like, so Dan Morgan is going to have to, if he really wants to make his money being the general manager, it comes in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Like, he has to hit it. He has to. Otherwise, what are we doing?
I think that we'll see. But again, what I said earlier, I do think he's made it easier for himself so he doesn't have to reach. This is a very deep wide receiver class.
Yeah.
I hope they get a couple of them. You know,
they might get one in the second, another one in the fifth.
They probably, you mentioned this before in Panthers playbook. Graham Barton may be there as a potential center.
If he's there at 33, snatch him up. But according to a lot of the predictions, he's not getting past like 25.
Okay, well, if he's there, but you still want to get get your offensive line a little bit younger, get some pieces that you don't have to pay for the next few years, because that line is going to get very expensive, and you're going to have to pay Bryce, if he shows up.
Yeah, and you need to draft a center to develop behind Austin Corbett.
And then you need some cornerbacks because the secondary is still going to need some help, because again everybody's a question mark. Like Dane Jackson, what is he going to do? Is J.C. Horn going to be available? Troy Hill is good as a nickel. He can't really go to the outside like that. So like what do we have after that? So there's still a lot of holes to fill.
Yeah,
but Dan Morgan has a great opportunity right now to put himself in position to have a job for years to come. I don't want to put that much pressure on him after just 1 year, but boy, if you can make a splash and those guys are impact players for the Carolina Panthers this year in 2024, boy, you got yourself a job for a very long time, sir.
Oh yeah. You think they trade pick 33?
For what, going up or going down?
Oh, down.
I have read that that is a possibility. If they feel like right now everything is about value. If they feel like they're going to get the best value for that, if somebody wants to move up just to do it, get the first pick of the second day, and they're going to get more out of it, and they can get more players, and those players end up becoming impact players in 2024, I'm all for it. But I don't think I'm going to judge what happens on draft day by that Sunday.
Sure.
I'm going to judge it basically by October, November. We're going to have to give it 6 months to see.
Well, yeah, I mean, on the field, we're going to have to figure that out for sure. But, I mean, let's say there's a team in the middle of the second round that wants to move up to 33, it's going to cost them not only that pick in the middle of the second round this year, it's going to cost them their second round pick next year and probably like a fifth this year. Well, guess what? You don't have a second round pick in 2025. If you can recoup that and still get the guys that you want at 39 and let's say like 47, do it. Because that way you can get that pick that you need in the second round next year as well. Make it. That's my move, in my opinion. Unless like the dude that you really want is right there at 33. And you're like, nah, ain't moving. Our guy is right there.
I mean, Xavier Legette is there.
I mean, that's the guy a lot of people want.
Xavier Legette is there. Please snatch him up.
That's the guy a lot of people want. Hey, you know what? Because this team still needs another wide receiver. Even though they got Deontay Johnson, they still need another one in my opinion.
6'3", runs a 4.3, has hands, like literally was South Carolina's offense. Like, please. Pretty please.
Make it happen.
Pretty please.
Make it happen, Dan Morgan.
We need that. Because another thing, too, is like, I thought that what's my man's name that ended up being a number one wide receiver? His name escapes me right now. He shouldn't be the number one, and now that Deontay Johnson is there, he's going to be number two.
Thielen?
Thielen.
Yeah.
He's going to be even better if he's the number 3.
Oh,
if we don't really count on you, you can just help us move the chains on third down because they're paying so much attention to Legette and Deontay Johnson.
I'm all for that. That's Chris Lee, WRL Sports, joining me here. Dennis Cox live, sitting in for Adam Gold. Thank you, good sir. I really appreciate you stopping in.
I'm going to Top Golf. Anybody want to meet me over there? I'll be live on WRL.
Hey, I just went to Drive Shack.
She just went to Drive Shack.
Like 2 days ago.
So, yeah, heading over to Top Golf. Enjoy your weekends, folks. For those who want to talk about golf, there's the Masters all for you all weekend. Make sure you subscribe to the Best of the Adam Gold Show podcast, wherever you get your podcast. Also follow on 99.9 The Fan's YouTube page. Till next time, I bid you adieu, goodbye, and good night.
Raleigh to Boone, Charlotte to Chapel Hill. Your Carolina is covered.